everybody, sorry about that. That we're a couple minutes late. Hope everyone's doing all right. And Derek is about to sit down. All right. Happy birthday, Mo. That's so great. Thanks for joining on your birthday. So I know
Mo, happy birthday.
I know in Northern Ireland it's after midnight. So is it like today, or like did your birthday just start?
Or is it just getting over?
Like, is it the 25th or 26th? Do tell. But happy birthday. And then, hey, Darian, welcome. Germany Travel Personal Guide. Howdy, howdy.
Hello.
And Nick Peterson, welcome to you. Thanks for joining. And who else? Alan A., welcome. And Mary Ellen, hello.
Welcome, everybody.
So, as y'all probably
Katie Smith.
noticed, hi, Katie. How's everybody doing tonight? Cheers. I have wine in a chalice, as does Derek. So, cheers.
Mine is a Tinto de Verano, which is quite delightful. Very, very nice. Eliz is having a Chardonnay.
Yeah. So hopefully you guys can hear us and see us well, because we are in a different place. It is a different state, different town, not Chicago. So really, really fun to be here. Do you want to tell them where we are?
Yeah, we are in, I guess, southeastern Indiana, down by the Cincinnati type area on a lake. So, yeah, nice. It's a lot of fun.
We happen to be at Derek's parents' house.
Well, yeah, we're at my parents' house.
But yes, it is also on a lake, so we've been having a blast. If any of you guys follow me on Instagram, I've been posting some photos of the lake. And then this is, oh yes, this is our Livestream crasher. Her name is Lexi.
This is our lake dog.
She can hear, so she's like, what's going on? Which is different from PG, because PG's like, oh, we're just sitting in front of the lights right now. But Lexi's like,
Oh,
hey,
right in the mouth.
I can hear you. Nick says he has family down in this area in Dillsboro. Is Dillsboro nearby? Sorry, we have... Oh, 5 minutes away. Nick, come on down.
Exactly.
Yeah, Lexi is a cutie.
She is a cutie.
God, yeah. She got to go on the boat
She's got a long
today,
tongue.
and she was, like, so happy.
She was so happy.
Hi, Darlene.
She's right there. Oh, my goodness.
She's giggling in the background. Hi, Ronnie Dove. Welcome to you.
Hey there, guys.
And Ronnie says, hello, everyone listening in the background with work. Still happening only 16 days until my road trip to Virginia and Pennsylvania. Amazing.
Oh, that's awesome. That'll be a lot of fun.
I think Ronnie was going to go to some of the Civil War sites, if I'm remembering correctly. But tell me if I'm wrong. Where exactly are you going? What's on the agenda? We are, of course, now Lexi wants down. Yep. We're starting, to do a little bit more adventuring outside of Chicago now that Chicago just entered phase 4, which I know that means different things in different places. But we're, slowly reopening up by where we live.
Liz got a very nice haircut.
I did. Well, I got that before last week's live stream.
But doesn't it look great, guys?
It still looks good, doesn't it? Yeah, so we did this first trip down here to enjoy the lake, and later on the live stream, one of the topics that we're going to talk about is
things to take to a lake.
Things to bring to a lake trip. So if you guys are frequent lake visitors, then definitely
So
let us know if we missed anything.
I will say it's funny because I haven't traveled in so long, and I used to travel so much. I used to think I'm a pro. I know exactly how to pack. I know what toiletries to bring. I'm so glad that I came to my family first, because I came with no toothbrush, no deodorant. I mean,
you didn't have deodorant?
I've been stealing yours, babe. Love you. But yeah, no. So what I will say is that it's funny when it's like you don't use it, you lose it. So having not traveled in a while, it's
he used
definitely a bit of a growing pain.
He used to always have like a go bag because he was traveling every single week on an airplane. But road trips are different than plane trips in general too.
Yeah.
So we can talk a little bit about those differences since our last trip before this one was to Amsterdam on an airplane. So that was definitely different packing than this. So we can talk about what we packed to come here and what the experience was like on the road. Yeah.
Do you want to start with that? Just start laying out a couple of things? Or...
Sure thing. Let's do it. Well, okay, first of all, Ronnie answered my question. So Ronnie says, Stephen City, Virginia to see an aunt and uncle and see my brother who is stationed in D.C. and then heading to Pennsylvania for a cousin's high school graduation and to see both sides of the family. Well, that's a long trip from Texas, but it's going to be really rewarding to see all the family. And I think a lot of travel media has been kind of reporting that most people are doing family trips first, obviously us included. And so you're right there with us on that one. Just feels like everyone's kind of easing back in that regard. Yeah.
Well, because, you know, when you stay with family, it at least, you know, limits the, you know, things outside of your control. You can kind of know and understand, you know, what your family's been doing around social distancing. You can get, you know, fairly comfortable with that and kind of, you know, take some of that guesswork out of it. So that's one of our things. Another thing for us was, you know, before we actually go out and do a lot of road trips, we thought it was important to see our family, because once we go and actually start traveling in the summer for different like road trips and hopping all over the place, we'll want to do like a 14-day kind of self-isolation to make sure that we're not, you know, bringing anything back with us.
Totally.
So that's why we want to see family first. So.
Yeah. And also just making sure that we're keeping all of our families safe. So if we were traveling, you know, to other places first and then came to visit Derek's parents, we wouldn't feel as comfortable as doing it in reverse. So.
Yeah, so it's good. It's fun. We're enjoying it. It's fun to be around more different people, not via Zoom or anything, but actually in person. That's always fun.
New people,
new pups, all that good stuff.
Although Darlene and Eric typically join these talks anyway, so you guys have all chatted with them before.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Nick, I'm sorry, you're totally right. I was thinking of your trip. He's gonna go be hitting Gettysburg and Franklin, Tennessee and stuff, which is gonna be super interesting. I've never been to any like Civil War anything. I've been to Pennsylvania several times, just never stopped at Gettysburg or anything like that. So I'm gonna be following along on your trip. Hopefully you'll be posting about it on social media too, because I know that we're connected.
Yeah, sounds awesome.
Yeah, maybe we'll do, if we end up going out that way, maybe that'll be some new stops for us.
Yeah, definitely.
So speaking of, we're like totally still in planning mode of
Yeah.
anything could happen with our remaining road trips right now. Like we have a lot of time blocked off for road trips in late summer, like really long ones. We'll probably get to that once we feel like we can share a little bit more. But we'll be on the road a lot.
Yep, that's the plan at least. You know, probably starting around hopefully mid-August or so is what we're thinking. But you know, it's still kind of a little bit up in the air. Especially as, you know, everybody knows this, we love data, we love all that kind of stuff. So we'll have to see, you know, what's open, what's not open, how numbers look and all that good stuff. So
yeah, to piggyback off of that, basically it's like we're going to be using data to inform our decisions based on COVID-19 numbers, just wanting to stay safe. So we'll probably be making final calls closer to that August date. But right now we're just preparing for anything and learning from you guys and figuring out what all the options are, and we're excited. This is going to be a fun, totally different type of travel summer for us.
yeah. Usually we're in Europe, so this will be a little bit different, which
the
we
EU
like.
does not want us right now.
Nope. certainly do not.
No, they do not.
So we are we're looking at all that stuff, and we're using this trip here as our like first foray, our first mini road trip, I guess you could say, of the summer. And you know, it's only about a 4.5 hour drive from Chicago, so it was pretty easy drive, pretty uneventful. Which is great. That's what I like.
So the thing to know about where we're at right now is this is a private community, so you, I don't think there's any like Lakehouse rentals on this particular lake that we're at. However, there are a lot of different lake areas all throughout the Midwest and Northeast especially that have like lake house rentals and stuff like that. A lot of what we talk about could probably be applied to like a beach rental if you are planning on doing boating and water stuff as well. So hopefully you guys are in for this ride with us as we talk about like what to pack for that.
Also, Darian, I do need to say thank you when you say howdy to everything. I really love that because it reminds me of my grandfather. He likes to say howdy quite a bit.
Wait.
And
Which one?
my dad's dad.
Oh, no way.
He's not from the South or anything,
No,
but he
he's-
likes saying howdy. I don't know why. And
He's from Mexico and then Indiana.
yeah, well, I guess he's from like the deep South, if you want to look at it that way.
So far south that it's not.
Yeah, so far south that the South is the North.
South of the
No,
South.
yeah. So he likes to say that, and he also likes to do things like answer the phone with fun stuff like City Morgue. You stab him, we slab him. You know, really try to get to people. He's a jokester.
That's when he thinks a telemarketer is calling.
No, he did that to me a lot growing up.
Well, maybe
Yeah.
he didn't have your
Really?
number memorized.
Really unfortunate.
Yeah, what a sense of humor that guy's got, huh?
Yeah. So thank you, Darian. I appreciate it.
And Nick is saying that he wants to get over to Dallas in August too. We've been looking at Texas, but are still kind of trying to figure everything out.
Yep.
Um,
I want to get to Atlanta.
Oh,
I wanna get
hi,
everywhere.
Megan David. Oh my goodness, sorry that we totally missed you before. But
Hello.
he's saying that they say howdy in Washington too. I'm not sure if you mean DC or the state. I could kind of see it in both. I don't
Yeah.
know. But we have really close friends over in Seattle that we love over in Washington State, and then we have
Also good friends in DC.
DC. So
So regardless
been
of
to both
which,
many times.
like them all. But if you're in Seattle, if you're in Washington, the state, you guys have some Din Tai Fung, which is phenomenal soup dumplings. So those are in Seattle, and anybody who's so Fagan is in state.
Yeah.
So if you're by Seattle, go check out Din Tai Fung. Delicious, awesome soup
Yeah,
dumplings.
I also have a friend over in Spokane, so I gotta go visit up there
Man.
too.
Sorry. If anybody here has seen The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, you'll understand the reference.
Yeah.
Spokane.
Yep. Anywho, so have we missed anything? Mo is saying social distancing
Probably.
has been relaxed to 1 meter, and pubs, hotels, etc. can open on. I heard it was July 4th in Northern Ireland, and I think all throughout the UK, they're opening on July 4th. Going back to the office next week. Wow. I wonder if they're like, are they doing anything special to the offices now? We're so far from, like, first of all, I work at home, so this is like normal for me. But for Derek, he usually does not work at home, so I'm just curious, like, what people's protocols are going to look like now that they're going back.
And Fagan is agreeing.
Oh yeah, soup dumplings.
The soup dumplings are really good there.
We've also been. I mean, Seattle has really great restaurants, especially like super great sushi and Asian food. I'm in love.
Peter Millender is saying that the UK is really flexing on the US with that opening date.
I know, right? And hi, Peter Melander.
Peter, welcome. How you doing?
Welcome.
I do like that they're like, we're gonna celebrate getting rid of those pesky colonies with going back to the
They're
office.
like, oh, you want a drink? Psych, you can't.
I mean, we are, but
I wonder what we're gonna end up doing on the 4th of July. We haven't quite gotten there yet. Maybe we'll drive back down here.
my parents are going out on the lake. They're gonna watch the fireworks over the lake.
Yeah, because
We should
it's
come back
such a-
here.
So the 4th of July is like the epitome of summer here in the U.S. And I feel like everyone loves to be out and watching the fireworks and everything like that. And I know our current roommate Megan wants to go to like her hometown over in the Chicago suburbs and watch fireworks.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know if we're gonna be able to like how that's coordinated and stuff.
Yeah,
So we'll
we
see.
will see. We will see. Nick Peterson is saying that I have a ton of hand sanitizer, I have multiple face scarves, and multiple cans of disinfectant wipes. And he'll be ready for his trip.
There you go.
Nice. Awesome.
So that actually is similar.
It's a good segue into what we want to talk about.
Well, it's like what we brought in the car. So we brought all of the remaining wipes that we have basically in our house, which we are running really low. Especially, I don't know about you guys and where you're at, but like in Chicago, I have not seen sanitizing wipes since February. Like they are just still no longer in the stores.
Yeah.
Also, when I went to Target last week and there was no toilet paper again. So I don't know. People are still hoarding, I guess, in certain places, aka Chicago. But then we also brought face masks. I have a regular one that you can put little inserts in that help with filtering out bad air. That we brought to China, but then we also have N95 masks now. And then we have gloves that we plastic disposable.
Do you have
gloves.
your keys?
No, but that's okay. Then we have a clean key. If you guys haven't seen it, I can go get it. But basically it helps if you're at a gas station or whatever, you can touch the touch screens with the stylus on the clean key. You can open certain types of doors.
Yeah, it's got a hook on it and stuff
I'll
like
go try
that.
to get it.
It's neat. I mean, you can basically get into most things and open up bathroom doors and stuff like that, lock the doors, kind of using that so you're not touching a bunch of stuff, which is just good for sanitizing, sanitary reasons. We stopped on our way down here at a Chipotle to get dinner, and we were using that to open up the doors and stuff like that to get inside. It worked pretty well. It's all good. I will say, going into a Chipotle, still kind of, it's odd still going into places at this point because it's been so long. I will say though, eating Chipotle was a glorious experience because we had not had it since March or whatever, and when I was still in the office, I would eat Chipotle multiple times a week basically for lunch. So it was a glorious time, and I got to try their white queso sauce for the first time. It was very nice.
Okay, so mine's pink. Derek's is silver. I guess rose gold is what I'm supposed to say. But these came in a pack of 4. There's a gold one too, and I can maybe after this put a link when this video gets reposted for the replay on YouTube. Because we just got these on Amazon. There's packs of 2, there's packs of 4, that sort of thing, depending on
This
how many
specific
people you know.
brand is what?
This one's called Feek. Never heard of it, but again, it was from Amazon. You can use this little bud for styluses, so
You could sign your
you can
name,
sign your name,
whatever,
you can touch buttons,
buttons.
etc. Elevator buttons if you're in a hotel. This actually already came in handy. Funny enough, it's it's just supposed to be a bottle opener, which I don't know if you need a bottle opener too, but we ended up actually needing this on the boat, which ended up being funny because I'm oh, the first time I'm really using the clean key, using it to open a bottle. But then this is for those
For hooking doors, basically.
yeah, it can
just,
open cabinets and doors and stuff.
Yeah. So it's a nice idea. It's something that if you're in a place where you feel maybe people aren't as sanitary, it's something that you can utilize. If you're
Especially
at a gas station,
really crowded rest stops.
station, rest stops, things like that. This might be a good thing. And then probably if it was me and I have hand sanitizer with me, I'd probably hand sanitize it a little bit afterwards just to be extra.
Yeah, we're also kind of running low on hand sanitizer, so we'll need to put a new one in the car when we get back.
Oh no, you said a dirty word in German.
Oh no, I wonder what that is.
Whoops.
Is it hand sanitizer?
It's probably whatever that word is on the keychain.
Clean key, rose gold, stylus. I don't know.
I don't know.
None of those sound very Germanic
No, it's probably
to
the
me.
name of the key.
Oh, that'd be actually really funny. if the name of the brand of the clean key is a curse word in another language, because I would have had no idea.
We still have no idea.
If only Darian were around when I was pressing order.
Yeah, so we've seen a number of people kind of talk about these things and that they're, so we thought we'd get them. They're relatively cheap, so it was easy for us to, justify the purchase. And yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
What I will say is that our trip down here was, pretty seamless. Still not a ton of traffic on the roads, at least that I was seeing once you get onto the interstate.
Yeah.
Like in the big cities, there's obviously still like traffic and whatnot,
Yeah,
but
so
we
we
were
left
leaving
at
kind
like
of around
4
rush hour.
p.m. in Chicago.
Yeah, rush hour.
So we left at rush hour. There was some slowdowns. Like it wasn't nearly the same amount that a normal rush hour would look like.
Oh no, it was still relatively fluid.
Yeah. But then we got, for any of you guys familiar with that kind of drive from Chicago to Indianapolis, you take I-65. And once we got on I-65, it was very smooth sailing.
Yeah. So, that was all good.
Hey, Megan, welcome.
Megan Morris,
Megan,
welcome.
we're
How you
closer
doing?
to you now.
We are. You know, we're in that
We're
tri-state
getting there.
area.
So we're in very close to Cincinnati. Just so everybody knows, it's like we drove from Chicago, kind of like down and around Indianapolis, and then basically.
You should bring on a beach vacation,
You mean
or
a
a
vacation.
lake vacation, beach vacation, a water-based vacation.
So for anybody who joined later, we are at Derek's parents' house, but they also live in a lake community. So the past 2 days and the upcoming days, we're going to be on the lake each
We've
day
been
on
boating.
the pontoon boat. Maybe do a little kayaking too, which
Maybe some stand-up paddleboarding.
I haven't
Sounds like
kayaked
fun.
here since like probably in 8 years. It's just every time I've come here in the summertime, there's just been so much going on that we just haven't been able to get out on the lake very much. They do have kind of like a small beach around here too. So I have been on that and like floated around the lake, but haven't kayaked. Derek one time tipped our kayak though when we were kayaking down a river. So I don't know.
My
Maybe
parents are laughing in the background because
Yeah.
they've heard the story.
They had to come
many
get
times.
us. they didn't just hear it. They had to come get us.
It was a fun.
Thanks, Mo.
little
Yes, actually,
experience.
totally. If everybody watching can hit the like button, that would be amazing. Super awesome of you guys, because it really does help with this channel. It helps YouTube recognize that we're all a great community here, and promotes the live stream to a lot of other fun folks who might be interested. So yeah, it definitely, like, it means a lot to help out and press that like button.
Nick D, I tipped 15% of my kayak.
That's actually
That's
a funny
funny.
joke. I like
That's
that.
really funny. But Mary Ellen is saying that she's never been on a kayak or a paddleboard. Yeah, they're both fun.
Oh yeah, we
you
did
know.
do the stand-up paddleboards one year.
Yeah,
didn't we?
paddleboards are fun. I really like them. You know, they're a decent little bit of workout and stuff. Got to balance and maybe a little bit of core work, but it's a lot of fun.
You
And
get the hang of it pretty
Yeah.
fast.
yeah, you do.
It's not like
Especially
being
if you're
on
on,
a
like-
surfboard or anything.
especially if
It's
you're on a
pretty
calm-
flat. Yeah.
If you're on a calm lake, if you're on a lake that has a bunch of wake going on, you're probably gonna have more of an issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, the lake that we're at is fairly mellow.
And even yesterday, the lake had like a no wake day, so we couldn't even do any water sports or like make the boat go faster and things. So that would have been an amazing day for stand-up paddleboard if we had thought about it.
Yeah, actually, it was funny. I was at a thing one time, and one of the guys was doing the paddleboard, and 2 other guys were trying to knock him off of his paddleboard by going around him in circles real fast. And the funniest part was that they didn't knock him off. In fact, they knocked themselves off of their own jet ski, which was pretty funny.
Peter says stand-up paddleboarding is a lot of fun in his experience, although I'm not too quick on one. Yeah. I don't think like speed is really the main goal for that though too. It's supposed to be kind of like a zen relaxing experience for
Yeah.
most people, unless you're trying to knock other people over, I guess.
Hey, don't point at me.
I'm not
wasn't
pointing.
doing
I was referring to the story you just told. Did you just know?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I'm confused as to how it happened, but yeah. So
As long as you didn't spill on your parents' carpet.
I did not.
Great.
It's all on my shirt. So what I will say is that that's a lot of fun. So we're on a pontoon boat, so we're not doing like any like speed sports or tubing or anything like that. But I will say that my go-to is always like tubing is a lot of fun.
We have
Really
here. Do you
enjoy
want to
that.
bring your dad? Kind of like we have little props for when we're going to talk about what to bring to a lake. And your dad brought the box for the little floaties, though. We have these floaties that have cup holders, and we can all kind of connect to each other on them. It's so much fun. So the cup holders connect, but then you can also like have your drinks and stuff. Oh my gosh, game changer.
So this is kind of fun, and if it's like a mellow lake like what we're on, you know, these are kind of perfect. You kind of just connect them all. Everybody gets their own cup holder, and
They're very affordable. I think we got them at Walmart a few years ago.
yeah. So like cheap little things like that you know can be a lot of fun and make it more relaxing. You know, I'd say that if you're going to a lake, regardless of whether or not it's, you know, you're going to be right on the lake or you plan to go out there quite often, something like that can like make it much more enjoyable, kind of get you off of the shore and actually into the water, which is a lot of fun, especially if it's super hot out.
So I actually jumped into one today though.
She made it. Nah, she didn't.
It was kind of like a belly flop, but on my tush.
I actually have the. I have.
We took a GoPro of it, so okay, that's
another thing. GoPros.
So we have our GoPro, and we're gonna send. None of us know how to do a backflip, so we can never be the backflip.
We're not
bloggers
backflip
that
Instagrammers.
Walter's World likes to tease us about.
But we did jump off the boat with this quite a bit.
We purposefully jumped off the boat with
We're like,
and like filmed everybody jumping off. So
we're gonna send that to Mark.
So this is the GoPro, but it has like the floaty attached, and then it's like an extra floaty because we're scared. We want extra floaties.
Yeah, so those are fun if you're gonna if you want to capture the experiences while you're on the water. You know, those are, you know, a GoPro is pretty cool. Obviously, if you have a drone, like that's another fun, cool tech thing to have to capture some video and stuff. But we don't have that yet.
Oh yeah, sorry, that's important to talk about the thing.
All right, but to go with the floaties, you know, the worst thing you can do when you have like a lot of flotation devices is like had to like blow it up manually, like with your lungs, and then like pass out and drool, and it's really bad. So instead, you can go get something cheap like this, or like fairly affordable like this. I don't know how much it costs. Trying not to get the glare, but it's basically like a little pump. This one is DC powered, so you have to plug it into your car. But this made filling up the flotation devices, we have like 6 flotation devices, super easy, which is really, really great. You know, it makes it kind of a breeze. And if you have more of like a big inner tube, like this is kind of a game changer and makes it so you actually will do it. But yeah, so this is great.
So Darian's saying something that I want to say. So Darian from Germany Travel Personal Guide says, my family and I were riding our boogie boards last week in Daytona, and they loved it. I think we've done boogie boards at the lake. They are so much fun at the ocean on the beaches.
Oh yeah, the beaches are great.
So much fun.
Also Daytona Beach, that's where I did my senior year spring break in college. We had a blast.
So I think on days because there's like a really small like man-made beach on this lake and a lot of those types of like Midwestern lakes and, you know, southern lakes and stuff like that, you might have access to a little beach. On days like weekends, Saturdays, Sundays, days when there's a lot of boats out there and there is some wake, you can bring a boogie board too if you're planning a beach day. On days when maybe the boats.
It's good for like little kids
crowded.
And stuff. You're not going to go do like real bodyboarding or anything.
Right,
like
exactly.
But it's going to be
little
fun.
Kids.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're in a group of adults, maybe to pass on the boogie boards. But
I mean, it's the only thing you got to keep you floating. You know,
that's
that can be fun
Oh
too.
yeah, they're fun because you can just kind of like hang, in the water and you know.
You can do the otter. You just like hold on to it.
Yeah. So those are great for lakes too. We wouldn't have thought of that, so I'm really glad that you mentioned it.
Yeah. Let's see here. What else do we have? So obviously, you know, there's some
So I
clear
think
essentials.
Megan's saying that specific one's $39, the pump. Does that sound right?
Sounds sure.
Cool.
Maybe. So the other thing that I would say, you know, obviously, you know, there's like the easy things like definitely bring like obviously sunscreen, right? Like you want to have sunscreen, you want to have the appropriate sunscreen so that when you apply it, it's not going to just wash right off, all that good stuff. You know, have the correct type of SPF for you.
So,
remember to reapply, all that good stuff.
So like Derek and I, for example, use pretty different SPFs based on what our skins can handle. But sunscreen, no matter what, is super important. I bring like a very special face sunscreen, you know, that I'll use like a really much stronger one on my face. And then we'll do maybe like more like a 30 to 40 on, you know, the rest of my body. But definitely want to bring stuff that's like higher than SPF 15 because I can't take this seriously. This is tough. Definitely want to bring something higher than 15 because no matter like what your skin can handle, you're going to be outside on the lake for a long time, and the sun reflects off the water just like it would at a beach. So
it's really good to have like
the
extra on.
You get extra radiation.
We were
when
actually
you're on the water.
right before we went on. We were joking with my parents about how when we were younger, we used to go to a lake down in the Kentucky-Tennessee border called Dale Hollow, and one of the guys that would go down there, that we'd go down there with, would always wear like that like heavy zinc, like the nose stuff, where like his nose is just white. And you know, if that's what you need, if you've had like experience like that, like put it on. Use
My
it.
sunscreen that I use is actually zinc based. I think the zinc technology has come a long way in the since we were little. But yeah, I totally remember like even on Gilmore Girls when Paris Geller was wearing like the nose thing.
Yeah, David is saying a good supply of beer and wine. Yes, that's on our list.
We're getting there.
Yes.
But actually, the thing that we the thing that we like to we have like our prop guy.
We have a prop
we have
guy.
Like a stagehand today.
His name is Eric Zacarias.
Do you want to come
he is
say
my
hi
father.
so everyone can
Come meet our prop
in
guy.
case your hand shows up. This is
Hello,
Derek's dad.
everyone.
This is Papa Zacarias.
So this is the shirt for our beer, but if you want to drink naked, we have the drink naked as well.
That's where I get my sense of humor, guys.
Yeah, there you go. There he is. Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, so I mean, but you know, when it comes down to like koozies, those are on our list. We have a big list
Yeah,
of a lot
so
of stuff.
koozies are important in bringing like different sized koozies because alcohol, even cans, are come in like different sized things nowadays. So like a White Claw or like a Truly can is smaller than like a Coors Light can. That
So you can have like a thinner one or a bigger one, right? And so like,
and
what we'll
put
actually
the
do a
thinner
lot
one,
is we'll do the thinner one into the bigger one, and it's like double protection.
and you can put water bottles into there too.
So,
and
gotta
these
keep it
these
cold.
will float, right? That's another.
Yeah.
Yeah, these will float. So
So so will a beer bottle,
yeah.
as long as it's not open.
Well, right, but like, who brings a thing into the water and then doesn't drink it?
Never mind. She got me, guys. Nick D. Paris is the unsung hero of Gilmore Girls.
She really is. She was
is.
actually in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Not the Paris character, but like that actress. I love how
A lot of the-
Amy Sherman Palladino is kind of creating her own universe, kind of like Woody Allen does and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They like reuse all the same actors and actresses. It's pretty fun. But glad that somebody else out there is a Gilmore Girls watcher. Because
So
love it.
Peter Melander is saying, is that one of those fancy blue moons? I'm having the iced coffee ones right now, and they're pretty good.
There's an iced coffee blue moon.
This one is mango.
Shut the front door.
Wow, you're gonna have to pay a royalty to Jocelyn for that one.
Oh man. Jocelyn is in South Carolina right now, I think.
Ooh, that's
Yeah.
fun. So that's one of those fancy ones. I really like. I think it's more of a fall flavor. But I really enjoy the horchata blue moon. It's
Oh my
more of like a
gosh, that's
cinnamony,
Derek's favorite.
like
He hasn't been able to
very
find them.
creamy. It's so good.
You haven't found them in Chicago.
I've never looked in Chicago.
That's
But
true.
yeah,
We need to
I
go
used
to
to get them in
Vinny's
New
in
York
fall.
quite a bit, and those were one of my favorites. Those and then the
If
This
anybody
isn't
has
a
a
blue
blue moon
moon.
hookup, Derek really is missing his horchata blue moons.
yeah. So this isn't a blue moon, but the other one that I would always get for our like cookouts in New York was the Abita Purple Haze, which is like a raspberry flavored beer from New Orleans. It was that was really good.
Yeah.
So all right,
Okay.
sunscreen, lots of it. Apply often.
And
we don't need to tell
aloe,
you guys
because
this.
if you do get burned, so the one thing about lakes that's important to remember, and it's kind of different from a lot of beaches, is that many lakes are in more rural areas, and therefore it takes a little while to get to like a Walgreens
Yeah.
or a Walmart or something like that.
Yeah, it might be a little bit harder to make to the
So
stores.
if you do need something, such as a toothbrush or deodorant, it might be
Luckily, I was at my parents' house and
It
they had spares.
might
but yeah.
be further away than you're used to. Sorry, I'm like trying not to laugh. But yeah, luckily his parents got the hookups, but because those are so important.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Nobody wants stank breath. Alex Capico, welcome, buddy.
Hi,
Thanks for joining
Capico,
us.
welcome. Anyway, so yeah, so because it's like further away, you want to come to a lake with like all of the stuff that you need. So, for example, like you want to have like extra sunscreen because you're gonna go through, especially the spray ones. Those run out pretty quick. Like you'll use, especially if there's like multiple people in your family or friends going. Like you'll go through those every 2 days or something like that. So you'll want to bring a lot more than you think that you'll need. At least I would because I need it. And then aloe if you do get burned, because like every once in a while I'll be like, maybe you won't get burned your whole body, but like the tops of your feet, the backs of your ears, like all those places that you totally forget about, your scalp.
Aloe or just like lotion generally, because like while you're out and stuff, like you might dry out a little bit, and like you're, you know, it might not be like sun damage, but like as you're getting tan and stuff like that, the sun will be drying out your skin and whatnot. It's always good to apply lotion and things like that, you know, at the end of the day, kind of help your skin just, you know, be good to it, right? It's your largest organ, so, you know, and you only have one of it, so be nice to it.
Speaking of the backs of your ears, Derek wore his fisherman's hat today on the boat. He looks like Gilligan.
Hey, little buddy.
Anyway, so I always just wear a baseball cap and make sure that the back of my neck and my ears are covered in sunscreen. But if you're somebody who maybe forgets that a lot, Derek does. Let's be honest, kind of like this guy. Then having a hat that covers the back of your neck and your ears is really good. And that's the same for like if you're going hiking and that kind of thing too. Just even if you're not at the lake, like I remember when we were at Arches National Park last summer, we were so regretful that we didn't have hats that like covered the backs of our necks. It would have been super helpful.
Nick is saying one thing about aloe is that it may be hard to find right now because some people have been using it to help make homemade hand sanitizer along with isopropyl alcohol.
No kidding.
So I was not aware of that. But so aloe.
I knew that like bourbon or something, like one of those alcohols were being used a lot to do it.
What I would say is that, you know, if you can't find regular, just like pure aloe or whatever, which is usually kind of like a neon green sort of thing that you like squirt out and you like rub it on. If you can't find that, you know, at least finding maybe some sort of lotion with aloe in it at least would be helpful. It helps kind of like release the heat and whatnot.
When we were in South America, we got so sunburned on Punta del Este in Uruguay, like peeling level sunburn, both of us.
With the most expensive sunscreen.
Yeah, that's a whole other story. We got scammed when it comes to sunscreen, but
it was not we.
Me. I got scammed, and I used my very broken Spanish to yell at them afterwards. But anyway, so
She showed them.
So we go and we use this incredibly expensive sunscreen, and like spraying it, and we had a whole beach day on Punta del Este, and we get so sunburned. But like because it was a spray, we get sunburned in a very like splotchy, ugly way, both of us. And so then we're like frantically trying to search for aloe, and we can't find aloe at any of the like Uruguayan like drugstores and stuff like that. We finally find it duty free on our way from like at the Punta del Este airport. We find like a lotion with aloe in it. So I bought that, and it saved our skin. I swear, because we didn't even start peeling for like 1 or 2 weeks, but we were constantly using it. It just made it feel so much better. So yeah, that's a secret tip. You know, if it's out, because there's like the sunscreen aisle that has the pure aloe, and then there's like the lotion aisle in a Target or Walgreens or whatever.
Yeah. So Ronnie Dove is saying if you're Italian, you may not need a whole lot of sunscreen. You will likely tan more than burn. At least that's what happens for Ronnie. What I will say is kind of regardless.
I would not bank on that though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, all that I would say is that, kind of regardless of your ethnic background, it's important to use some SPF, because even if you don't burn, there's some damage that can take place from like the sun, and it's really more of a, there's like premature aging and things like that that can take place,
and
kind of
it is
regardless of
premature
whether
aging,
you're African American, whether you're white,
yeah.
Italian, kind of whatever. It's kind of important to use some protection, I think.
Yeah, there's premature aging, which is more of like that vanity element to it, but it's also like you get, especially people with really dark skin don't realize that they'll get like kind of under the surface true skin damage that can be carcinogenic.
All right, Nick D's got the truly pro tip here.
Shout out to SPF, Caroline. I don't, or Catherine, sorry. Oh, is this Kathy Ratto?
Hey.
If it's not, I'm sorry. But
So Nick D, sunburn pro tip, mix vodka with water, drink copiously, forget that you have a sunburn.
Nick D's got
There we
it.
go!
Nick D wins.
Nick D
Wins the night.
He wins. He wins an honorable mention. There's no real prize, but he wins.
Hi, Kathy. Welcome.
Kathy, tell
hi to
Alfredo hi.
and,
Alfredo.
And fluffy little Billy.
Hope you guys are doing well.
Kathy, you missed it. We had Lexi on earlier, the little pup here.
She's quite adorable.
Yeah, no, she's literally napping, so I won't pick her up again.
And Mo is saying that prevention is better than the cure. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So what I will say is that, so we've talked a lot about, obviously, like sunscreen. We've talked about, aloe and all
Ronnie
that
says
stuff.
he still uses sunscreen. That's good.
We've talked about hats.
Oh, Ronnie coaches baseball. Okay, so I just wanted to read this. So Ronnie Dove says, I still use it, especially when I was coaching baseball 2 to 3 games per day in the summertime in Texas.
Wow.
Used to have that baseball tan, tan in the face, except the eyes, tan on the arms and neck. Yeah. It's funny when I used to play tennis, very long hours a day every summer, that sort of thing, when I was in high school. And I mean, I had tan lines that I could not get rid of. I'm pretty sure I didn't get rid of them until like after college. But you have like the shorts tan line and the tank top and everything like that. Yep, that's relatable.
Yeah. So, next thing is sunglasses. Obviously, you want your sunglasses, but if you're gonna be on the water a lot, getting a strap like this that's the floater.
Yeah, I've been
That
using
thing?
these on the boat.
Is good because like the last thing you want, especially if you have like
this is what
nice,
I look like.
yeah, especially if you have like nice sunglasses. The last thing you want is to lose them into a lake and never see them again, or into
Right.
the ocean and never see them again.
Even if it's like just sunglasses you really care, like even if they're not nice sunglasses, even if they're like just the ones that you really like, you want to get I think they're called croquis, but
Croquis,
the ones that float, so that way you can find them.
This one is a National Geographic Explorer.
Yeah,
I don't know.
and I don't know if your dad has it up here, but he actually put like a little cork along his, I believe, which
It
also
came with it.
floats. Oh, it came with the cork.
I assume it came with the cork.
So that'll help too. And if you just want to do that yourself, like we drink a lot of wine, we could poke a hole in the cork and put it on our croquis too.
So I think these are just like a random brand, Dad. Is that
Yeah.
what
So
are?
these are his glasses / transitions lenses. So when he's driving the boat, he can actually see. And then we got the little.
Wait, did you make
cork.
this? Or no? Okay, it came like that. Okay, I thought maybe Jimmy were good.
These are all
You
from
totally
the,
could though. I feel you could
Walmart,
just
Oh yeah, you could totally.
Walmart.
So
We'll put a link.
I think
down
they're just kind of
below.
like a generic sunglass. I don't think they have a brand to them. They're just kind of like cheapo ones. They are polarized, which I think is really important when you're out on the water and all that kind of stuff. Kind of glare resistant and all that. From that perspective, it always makes me think of the old Jeff Foxworthy, I think it was, had the skit on sunglasses. Who's like, the moment I buy an expensive pair of sunglasses, 5 minutes later they're broken or lost. He's like, but I could have like the cheapest
I'm laughing
pair
at
of
Nick D's
sunglasses,
joke about tennis.
and they would fall off my face on a cliff, and the wind would blow them back onto my head. It's impossible to use cheap sunglasses, but expensive ones, my God,
Yeah.
real easy.
So Ronnie's Ronnie says he likes the sunglasses. What kind are they? You said you just got them at Walmart, right?
Walmart. I don't know.
They are.
They don't have a brand on them. I looked.
The other sunglasses had a brand on them. They're Walmart. I don't know.
Ha. Nick D, if you love tennis, does that mean you really don't like
That's
it?
what I was saying. I was laughing at Nick D's joke, and then went.
Tennis jokes.
Good tennis joke. I loved it.
Did you
I
bring your
appreciate it.
tennis racket with you?
No, because Matt's not here.
Well, I saw you.
So Derek's older brother Matt played tennis in high school, just like I did.
So
and
they'll play tennis.
We'll play,
Yeah.
but nobody else plays. So yeah. Well. Okay, yeah. These are the ones because I remember seeing. So these are Iron Man ones, and they're also from Walmart. They're pretty much the same.
They're pretty cool. I like them. They're stylish. Yeah. And Kathy, no, this is not sangria. This is Tinto de Verano.
It's kind of like sangria.
It's kind of like a sangria, but it's super
It's
easy.
Spain inspired.
So this
That's
was a
hard to
drink.
say.
This is something that I would drink in Spain a lot when I was studying abroad. It's very refreshing on a hot summer day. Legitimately easiest thing you can make. You just grab a cheap red wine. This is made with Menage a Trois, so like 6 something a bottle, and then if you get it at like Costco, and then Diet 7-Up, and it's equal parts of 7-Up and red wine, and then you just add like a lemon wedge into it, and it's refreshing.
Good afternoon, Malcolm Hogan. Welcome from
Malcolm.
He's all the way in New Zealand.
Welcome.
We're talking about stuff to bring to a lake. I feel like New Zealand has a lot of lakes, so we're happy to hear your
It has
thoughts on
coastline, that's for sure.
And anyone else who's new, feel free to say hi. I'm Eliz. This is Derek. This is Means to Travel. We're talking about lakes, and we are
Live from Lawrenceburg,
live
Indiana.
from Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Despite we live in Chicago.
Yes.
Badoo.
Wow, that was fun.
I need to go fill up my wine.
She's
chalice.
sober enough. Oh yeah, and once you do that, you probably want to put your wine back in the fridge. I forgot to do that.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'll do a little bit then and take it back.
So, where was I? Yeah, so it's not sangria. It's super easy. I highly recommend it. Super refreshing. And what I also like about it is that because you're basically diluting the wine with a non-alcoholic beverage, it makes it so you kind of like sip it over a longer period of time, have a, not worry about over-imbibing at least. So that's always nice as well. So Malcolm is saying, fishing rod, first thing you take to a lake here, salmon and trout fishing. So Malcolm, are you doing like with a bobber? Or are you doing more like, so are you like casting and just letting it sit? Or are you doing more of like a fly fishing with all of that, like on a lake? Or, sorry, on a river. Because I would agree, fishing's really great, especially if you're on a lake.
We were gonna go fishing, weren't we? We've
we've
seen
got-
a ton of
yeah.
people fishing.
I've got my
obviously.
tackle box
Even
out.
like little kids were fishing today. It was so cute.
Yeah, I love it when they're out there with like their Spider-Man fishing poles and stuff. That's always a lot of fun. But yeah, no, I've got my tackle box out there, and we've got some fishing poles and stuff that we can take out, and we could even take the kayaks out and do that. That'd be fun.
I haven't been fishing since I was like 6 years old.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be an adventure.
Yeah, I remember going fishing like with my grandpa or different family members, and it would always be that you'd wake up at the crack of dawn,
Yeah.
you'd make your like tuna fish sandwiches or whatever to put in the cooler to take with you, and you just like get there before the sun rose and all that stuff. It was always a lot of fun. So
that I just want to piggyback on the fishing comment though, because one thing that's super important if you go to if you rent a lake house or something like that, is every lake has different rules. So just making sure that you understand if there's fishing rules, if
Yeah.
you can
Is
only
it- is
fish
it
at
catch
certain
and
time of
release?
days. Is it catch and release? Is it catch and
Yeah.
release during certain times of the year?
Dad, what's the rule here? Can you keep them?
They've-
Over a certain size.
So yeah, it's kind of this typical over a certain size you can keep them, take them home and cook them. Otherwise, throw them back.
Yeah, and then also there's certain lakes where if you get a boat, even if it's a kayak, on this lake, I think it's required that if you register that you have a kayak, even much less a larger boat, you have to go around with lake patrol and learn the rules of the lake. I think in larger lakes that might not be as like in Indiana, for example, like Lake Monroe and Lake Wawasee are like the huge lakes. That might not be the same case. Maybe it is, but just making sure that you do your due diligence before and figure out if you need to do that with a lake patrol, even if you're just there for a week or whatever. Because there are going to be rules like maybe the kayakers have to only be in part of the lake or only at certain hours or in certain like.
Yeah, so I mean, knowing the rules and stuff is obviously very important. You should understand those before you go out and do anything.
And almost every like you need to learn what the buoys mean too.
Yeah.
I've gone to
where are the no wake
different
zones?
lakes.
What
Yeah.
if there's no like clear demarcation, like buoys saying like where there's no wake, understanding like within X feet of docks you can't make a wake, like which is usually a rule on a lot of lakes. Understand, is it like state rules? Is it local? Like what is it that you need to worry about? That's just something to think about.
Totally. And research in advance. So even before you
Yeah.
book a place, like, because if you want to be able to drive a boat, like maybe you're bringing a boat, or maybe you're just there's a kayak on property or something. Just make sure that you know all of that information before booking an Airbnb on a lake or whatever.
Like if you need to get a certain license to be able to like operate
Yeah.
a boat in a state, like it's just something to know about. Most of
Or
those
if you
things
want
are
to be able to
relatively.
drink on your boat and that state doesn't let you drink and boat.
Yeah, you don't want to get a DUI on a boat. That's
Nope.
that's not fun. But in a lot of places like, there's a lot of places like Florida, right? A lot of people go down to there, and to drive jet skis on the water, you need to have a license. But you can go and you can get a license in like an hour or whatever it is. You go sit through a quick class, take a test, and then you can get your license to operate it, and it's pretty easy. So just understand what it is and whatnot. It's all good.
Totally.
Okay, so beyond that though, so when you're on the water, a lot of us like to have our phones. So if you don't have a waterproof phone, like with like one of those like special cases,
Like I think there's certain ones that
like the Otter, maybe is that one?
yeah,
that's
that make it waterproof and float. Even if it's waterproof, you want something that like if you're gonna be using it in the lake, you want it to
you want
also
it
be
to
able to
yeah.
float.
I'm talking more about just if you're taking it on the water, no matter what,
Yeah.
you want it to be in something that's maybe waterproof, especially if you're kayaking or something like that. If you
Yeah.
accidentally flip the kayak, like
Or
I've done,
purposefully.
I did not purposely
You
flip
totally purposefully ran us into a tree
Okay,
because you
we
thought
don't
it'd
have
be
to talk about
funny,
this.
and
I
then we
did think it
tipped
was
it.
funny.
We lost an oar.
it. We lost a life jacket.
We lost a life jacket.
It's okay.
They had to come pick us up.
We survived. And now you have something to hold over my head. It's okay.
Forever.
Only because I chose to marry you.
I love you.
Aw.
Okay.
Mm. Okay.
I would get back into a kayak with him. I think he's learned his lesson.
It only took 8 years. So what I was going to say, though, is if you don't have, like, a case, a really easy thing to do is to take a lot of those types of electronics and put them in, like, Ziploc baggies. That's a great way to make it waterproof, cheap, and quickly. Especially if you find, oh my goodness, I forgot the case. It's an easy and inexpensive thing to run to a Walgreens or whatever and buy like a little bag of Ziploc baggies, and you're golden. And because it could even be something as easy as you're on the boat and you hit a wave and water washes up onto the boat.
Yeah.
You don't want to mess up your phone because of that. So.
Yeah, it's so true. And that's another, kind of brings me to like an overarching theme of, as we're about to talk about like clothing that you would bring to a lake and stuff, is like pretty much anything that you bring to a lake, you need to assume is going to get wet. Or like if it's something that you would be devastated if it sank, like prepare in advance
Yeah.
for that scenario.
Like, don't bring like a nice leather bag onto a boat. Like,
Yeah,
a lot of
so,
these
like,
are
everything
relatively
that I bring
common
is, like,
sense.
leather that
Yeah.
can kind of be wiped off if it's a little bit nicer, or it's literally like, one of those plastic bags. Like, if you bring, what's really common for beaches is like people will have those tote bags that are canvas. Don't bring those on a boat. Those do not dry very quickly, in my personal experience. Like it doesn't. So
Blaine, welcome, sir.
Yes, and
Also,
sorry.
Travel Best Destinations.
Welcome, Travel Best Destinations. Welcome, Blaine from Rayleigh Creative Travel, and welcome to Lori Sims, because I don't think Lori was on here before, too. So, welcome, everybody. We are chatting about, we're actually at the lake right now at Derek's parents' house. They live in a lake community in southern Indiana. And that's why this is different yet again from what you're used to seeing. But we are chatting about like what to bring to a lake and, how to make your lake trips the best they can be.
Yeah. So,
But great to have everybody on. This is so
so
fun.
we've talked about sunscreen, aloe, all that good stuff.
Yeah,
Hats, sunglasses.
Just carrying on, so I'm saying
Floaters.
like basically water resistant everything. So water resistant clothing is super important. If you maybe are wearing like sports clothing that's quick dry, but can also be put in the washer and dryer, that's ideal for like wearing out on the boat if you're not wearing just like a swimsuit and cover up sort of thing. Derek always wears kind of those like, they're like polyester-y type material that's super quick dry.
Yeah, it's like workout
shirts.
clothes, basically. I wear those.
And if I'm like not just wearing a swimsuit and my cover up, I'll have like workout shorts on. And what's also super important is like I would never, for example, wear this shirt onto a boat unless I'm wearing a.
You don't want to get that white shirt
So
wet?
white. Let's talk about white. First of all, just don't bring white jeans. Like everyone thinks that they want to wear their like Breton tops, which is like the white and blue striped French top with like the white jean look because it looks so nautical. Cute, awesome. However, if it gets wet, you're screwed. So if you want to go take pictures in that outfit and then go change, like I'm all for it. I'm gonna give that photo a like. But if you actually are going out on the boat and you're not wearing like your bathing suit underneath or whatever, like just be prepared that if you get wet, it's going to become see-through.
Mo is saying that a Speedo is all he needs. Go for it, Mo.
As long as you call it a Speedo and not a banana hammock. Neato. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you. If in this area, if anyone was wearing if any male was wearing a Speedo,
You'd be looked at
like
kind of
you
funny.
you potentially would get like, ow, from like other boats and stuff like that. So you kind of have to. Everyone's friendly on the lakes. Like I've never been on a lake where people are like mean to each other. I'm sure there's scenarios like that, but I haven't experienced
Yeah,
that.
like what Lori's saying is that it's an Instagram moment and then you get real
Yeah.
and change.
Yeah, precisely. So like white, just think about it before you pack white. I packed this because I knew I wanted to wear it on our live stream, but I would never wear it on the boat.
Yeah, Nick, I would say you should save your velvet for the yacht.
Yeah.
Nor should you wear silk or cashmere on the lake.
But I just wear like my like bathing and okay, so another thing with female bathing suits is like if you're gonna be doing actual water sports, make sure your bikinis are secure.
Yes. Or don't. Or do.
I mean, that's just an important thing to say. But I mean, even with guys, like if you're like in between sizes, you're like, because men's bathing suits come in like small, medium, large, extra large. Like it's not like with women's it comes in every single size possible. Like if you're kind of in between sizes, make sure that your stuff is secure so you don't get like pantsed on like if you're water skiing or something like that.
Yeah, water skiing is bad. That's a prime way to lose your bottoms, so be careful there.
Yeah. And there's also like certain trunks that are what are they called? Swim trunks that are like better than others in terms of like they'll have mesh in them or something like that too for water sports. I'm gonna let you talk.
Just called swim trunks.
But some of them are board shorts and some of them are
Board shorts don't have the underwear lining. Swim trunks do.
right. So you might want the underwear lining. Is all I'm trying to say for water sports.
It's up to you. Whatever floats your boat or doesn't. Yeah, so moving on to another. Obviously, you want some sort of like footwear that you don't mind getting wet. So wouldn't take gym shoes. Obviously, have flip flops, sandals, boat shoes, something along those lines.
I always bring just rubber flip flops. But if you feel like you're gonna need to do a lot of like, if it's gonna be a scenario where you have to hike kind of from the car to the boat or whatever, and you haven't broken in your flip flops, maybe consider that because those can really rub. If you haven't broken them in. But otherwise, like my flip-flops always have done the trick. Yeah, I would never like invest in, like Sperry topsiders boat shoes just for a boat.
Mo is asking Crocs, yes or no?
I mean, those would probably work for the need. Are they cool looking? Debatable. But
if you're like, if you don't want to twist an ankle, if you're in like a rocky type beach and stuff like that, and you'd be afraid of maybe cutting your foot, Crocs are really good because it'll protect you there.
Yeah, for rocky beaches, that's an important point. So if you're kind of gonna be doing less of like boat, but more, you're gonna be putting your kayak into the water from a rocky beach sort of thing. And you want to maybe wear shoes in a kayak in case you tip and need to like walk it, then I have a pair of water shoes that I got like I think when I was 17 years old. I mean, how many times do you need to buy new water shoes unless you really truly kayak every single day? And I got them from like LL Bean. They work great. They're Velcro and they have rubber bottoms. Their sandals.
Can we just talk about the fact that Nick Peterson has a size 17 shoe? It's freaking massive.
Derek has a size 8. That's double your shoe size. That's more than double your shoes. So
Nick's also way taller than me.
6'10", 9, 6'9".
Nick, how tall are you?
I think he's 6'9".
I know you're super tall. I just don't remember how tall.
I think Mark Finley's 6'8", and I think Nick Peterson's 6'9".
Jeez.
Anyway, hi Thomas Reiser, welcome.
Thomas, welcome.
Welcome.
You don't need a note, Malcolm.
I win. 6'9". He says 9.
Precocious. Yeah. So, dang, that's a big foot.
Okay. Does that mean? Okay, that doesn't mean that his foot is twice the size of yours, right? It just means like it's like
don't think
incremental.
so.
I think. Yeah.
I don't think it means it's twice the size. That would be impressive.
You would probably have trouble finding water shoes that fit right.
So
that sucks. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but again, so like, yeah, of course, Crocs. You don't need Crocs. You can do something other than Crocs. You can do water shoes. Boat shoes. Just as long as it can get wet, that's really all that matters.
Oh no, Ryan Donahue says our video is lagging behind the sound. How do we fix that? Maybe Ryan, if you can hear me, hello, just press refresh and tell me if it's still like that or whatever. We'll have to figure that out. And if anybody else has that,
off, and then you don't want like extra wet towels. So, because it might not dry off by the time you want to be done for the day. So, bringing maybe 2 towels per person is not a bad idea.
Yeah.
If you have a lot of women on the boat, 3 towels per person because they like lots of towels.
Plan to regularly do laundry. So, if you're renting a house, for example, and you need to bring your own washing, like laundry detergent and everything, definitely. So cute. You're so cute. Definitely like bring a lot of that too, and just plan every single night. Throw the towels as soon as you get home from the boat. Throw the towels and like everybody's bathing suits, whatever, in the washing machine, if they're machine washable, and because nothing sucks more than having to bring a wet towel back onto the boat the next day.
All right, so now we're moving on to snacks. You want snacks on the boat. So, this is like Chex Mix and
that was
Bugles.
my thumbs up, Brian Donahue. God bless you. Gilligan Sneezy. Oh my God. God bless you.
Such a sneeze. Allergies. No, so.
Oh yeah, we are in. There's a lot of pollen here.
So snacks are really good. You want those on the boat. I would say always bring coolers. So you want multiple coolers. And that also comes down to know what your refrigerator situation is going to be. Do you have an ice maker? Do you need to go buy ice? Because
Yeah.
you don't want to be stuck with just warm stuff on a boat. It's kind of gross. So if you had to stop at a gas station on your way into the house to buy a big bag of ice to stick in the freezer, do that. Figure it out and just be plan in
Your
advance.
dad and I actually didn't go to a gas station. We went to a drive-through liquor store, which
Yeah,
is
it's right on the border.
very unique to Ohio.
Yeah.
But it was right on the border.
It's a fun
We crossed the
experience.
border into Ohio and got ice at a drive-through liquor store.
So that harkens back to the time when you couldn't buy alcohol in Indiana on Sundays. And so all along the Indiana border, a bunch of these drive-through liquor stores opened up in Ohio and whatnot. So you could go there and you could get liquor on Sundays. Because I guess us Hoosiers do not know how to plan in advance and buy alcohol on Saturday. So we're covered on Sunday.
Drink it all.
Or we drink it all because we get overzealous, and then we're like, no.
Yeah, no, that's
exactly
actually a
what
thing
happens.
where you drink more than you think you will, and then but hopefully the people who are going through the drive-through haven't already been drinking a lot. So.
Yeah. So
But
so
yeah,
that's the thing.
what
That
I literally experienced this. This is a sidebar. I apologize. Hopefully you guys are along for the ride with me in this one.
Tangent.
I'd never been to a drive-through liquor store until this week, and we drove in, and you literally cannot get out. You have to point to the the attendant, if you will, at okay, I want this. So you can't just go and browse. You have to know what you want, and then drive away. It's so
Yeah.
interesting.
So Lori is saying that the sound's low. If others think that the sound's low, please let us know so we can try
It's
to
probably because
fix it.
we so we're using a different setting on our mic because last week you guys were saying that it was a little staticky, so we were testing things out. But I think the setting that the sound is on is lower than usual.
Yeah.
So sorry if it is. We'll shout. Hello.
Yeah, we also turn it up to the other setting if we think that it'll help. But yeah, tell us if the sound's hard to hear, guys, so we can fix it for you
Thomas
guys.
says it's fuzzy again, but it shouldn't be fuzzy because we put it on a different setting and we were testing it out earlier. Sorry about that, everybody, if it is.
Yeah, tell us, guys. Tell us if it's fuzzy, if you guys are having issues, so we can try to figure it out.
Nick says no drive-through liquor stores in Minnesota. Yeah. Okay, so we went to Indiana University, and I'm from Illinois, and definitely no drive-through liquor stores in either of those states. I'm pretty sure it's an Ohio thing.
Lexi,
What's up?
I was gonna bring her back on again.
Are people wanting Lexi back on? She's asleep.
I like her.
Never did.
Anyway, so I feel like different people are having different tech issues, and I'm sorry. I don't really know if that's across the board. It sounds like some people it's fine. So we're just gonna plow through with the settings that we're on instead of start to adjust it. Hopefully it'll fix itself. I know that Ryan was able to refresh earlier and make it work again. So Lexi's back.
She's
So
back.
for those of you guys who didn't see Lexi at the very beginning of the live stream, here she is again. She's had a day on the boat, so she's having a day. Anyway, so let's get back into it. Malcolm Hogan saying lollies. I don't know what that means. Is that snack?
Lollipops?
Is that another word for
Oh.
snacks? And then I'm assuming your name is actually David Fagan and not the reverse. Maybe I'm totally wrong, but he's also saying music is important. And that actually is. So what we ended up doing was bringing a portable speaker onto
Alright,
the
I'll
boat.
put you back down.
Some boats have speakers already equipped into them and everything, but the pontoon boat that we were on, we just brought one of those Bluetooth speakers and streamed from, I think it was Derek's dad's phone.
Okay.
But that's really cool because you can bring playlists on and just throw on a playlist and have a great day, just floating around. And so we were listening to the Eagles and all that kind of
Eagles,
stuff.
Bad Company. I mean,
What's-
it was a great time.
I'm going to do a quick poll for everybody who's watching right now. If you were on a boat tomorrow, perfect weather, what would be like your favorite playlist type jams? You know, like yacht rock-esque, whatever your equivalent of yacht rock is.
Los Lonely Boys, big fan.
Yeah, so for most people, Los Lonely Boys is not their yacht rock. So yeah, I mean,
most people, no.
So like one of the other boats on the lake today was playing
Obviously,
Sam Hunt's
Jimmy
new
Buffett.
album. Sorry, I can't speak. And I was digging it. But you know, Jimmy Buffett's always a good one. So yeah, let us know.
Journey.
If you're into like the latest stuff when you're trying to relax, that sort of thing. Malcolm says 60s and 70s music, totally. I'm with you there. It's so fun.
Yeah, so, but when it comes to that, like, the playlist and all that kind of stuff is, if you're going to be on the water, actually on the water, you know, if you have a waterproof type, or at least a water-resistant speaker system is helpful, just in case, you know, it's good to have. Or, you know, even one that maybe has some sort of, like, clip, so you can clip it up above, like, into the rigging, so it's not going to, like, get wet and everything, is super helpful. So something like that, or you can, of course, always play it off of your phone if you have a good speaker on your phone, but, you know, if you have, like, a real speaker, that's always helpful.
Yeah.
Take It Easy, Nick Peterson, yes.
Oh, that's
Standing on
literally
a corner in
song
Winslow,
number
Arizona.
1 for.
We played that a lot.
Just so everybody knows, Eric Zacarias, his boat name is going to be once we get the letters to go on there, Peaceful Easy Feeling.
Yeah, I love it.
Because of his initials.
Darian likes Whitesnake, Skid Row, and many more, including New Order, Journey, Rat, and Depeche Mode.
Nice. Everyone's doing some really good ones.
Oh, Mo likes soundtrack music, probably The Last of the Mohicans or Interstellar. Oh, that's interesting. That's really cool.
Awesome.
Last of the Mohicans, I remember watching
Everyone
that
does like the Beatles. That's totally true. I think my parents are still on. It's only 8:15 there, but I grew up on the Beatles.
Yeah.
And then David's saying Mississippi driver can have an open container.
Nice.
Good to know.
I'm gonna go to Mississippi.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so I would say that, most music for me is pretty good, but for me, like, when I think back to my childhood, beach or pool music were two of the same, it was the same thing, basically, and it was Eagles, Jimmy Buffett, and some classic rock. That was pretty much it.
All right, so we've missed some important comments.
Oh, no.
Peter Melander says, if the question is, do you want to see a dog? The answer is a permanent yes. Okay. We're trying to, so Derek's older brother is not here right now. His younger brother is, but he's doing homework. But Derek's older brother is not here, and we were trying to convince him that he could see Lexi if he joined, but I don't think he's joined yet. But we keep putting Lexi back on just in case.
Well, I just knew that she had not been on in a while, and we have other people who hadn't seen her yet, and she's a cutie, and I thought you'd all want to, enjoy seeing.
If you have okay, that's an important thing though. If you do bring a dog on a boat, which we did do today,
Doggy
couple
life
things.
vests are fun.
Doggy life vest, which you can what's nice about the doggy life vest is you can pick them up out of the water. They have a little handle on the back. Lexi doesn't love to swim, I don't think, so that's never really a big issue. But if you have a Labrador Retriever, the types of dogs that really love swimming and just will jump in. That's going to be an important one. Especially if they just jump off and you don't even have the ladder or whatever down on the boat. But then what else? So Nick asks, who is more chill, Lexi or PG? That is a phenomenal question, Nick.
PG.
So PG's more chill because he's deaf.
He just legit just chill.
He can't hear what's going on, so he's just always snoring and sleeping and living the life. Lexi's also much younger than PG.
Yeah.
So she's not
she's
a puppy
yeah,
anymore,
she's still
but she's just
chill.
got a lot more energy.
Yeah, so I would say they're both pretty chill, but PG is like the chillest of chill dogs.
We're trying to get PG to come down to the lake with us. He was supposed to come this week, but then Megan had a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
So maybe next time you guys catch us at the lake, probably in like July or something.
Yeah.
We'll have both of them.
And it will be cuteness overload. You won't know what to do. The computer's going to blow up. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, like YouTube's just going to like combust.
But, okay, so we've talked about, so drinks and snacks. So we talked about that. Like, you know, I think that, you know, going out on the lake with.
Oh, actually, sorry. I'm going to pause because Malcolm says, Eliz, go to Liverpool and take a Beetle taxi tour. You will love it. I don't know if anybody on this call really cares at all, but I'm just going to give a big round of applause to Liverpool. They just won the Premier League championship today, and
I did not know that.
I don't think they've won in like 30 years. So I'm just so happy for them and anyone who's a Liverpool fan.
Yeah, Mo is just now saying, wish I could be in Liverpool now since they just won the Premier League. The city would be wild. Yeah, I bet. I bet there's not a lot of social distancing happening.
I'm
in
glad that
Liverpool right
somebody
now.
else, like I was trying to get there, and we're all mostly Americans here, but yes, Beatles, Premier League champions. Yeah, Liverpool would be a great place to go right now, but unfortunately, we cannot.
And Mo is saying this the
30
first time in
years.
30 years.
There you go. See, I know things.
Not quite,
sort of.
not quite the Cubs, but you know, still.
But congrats
nice.
to Liverpool.
Yeah, no, that's fun. So.
Yeah, the red half of Liverpool. Yeah. All right. So, actually, I'm curious if you guys have favorite football/soccer teams. Let us know what those are. We're gonna hear from the background, Barcelona.
Messi.
Messi. I'm waiting for that. But yeah, so Derek's family are huge Barca fans.
My dad just said FC
Oh,
Barcelona.
He was just typing it instead. Now he's giggling.
I do love that Darian's like Florida Gators. And Riser
he's
saying go
taking football
Cardinals.
as American football on that one, I'm sure.
Soccer. Oh, Darren, of course, with Bayern Munich. Very good.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, so I think I get a pass of not being a number one Barca fan just because of my family's connection to the Ajax. But Barca's, of course, my number two.
She's trying to get brownie points.
Brownie points. Anyway, so great choices, everybody. We've got Florida Gators.
Your mom says
which is nice.
Ajax.
Yeah. And then yeah.
Southend Manor in Essex.
Cardinals is just an American football team again too.
25 people.
Yeah. Anyway, congrats to Liverpool. That's all I have to say. I'm just like I'm always okay. So being from Chicago, when the Cubs won for the first time in what was it, like 107 years or something like that, it was monumental.
Yeah.
Literally, like the entire city got knocked down. It was, but in like a ecstatic way. And so we're all Cubs fans here, pretty much. We were super thrilled when that happened, and I can only imagine like Liverpool's probably having a great night tonight too.
Yeah, so what I will say is Nick D, I kind of agree with him, is the women's U.S. national team would be my favorite team too.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
they're,
that's
you know,
awesome.
multiple time world champs, World Cup champs, and all that good stuff. So you
There
know,
is
awesome.
an audio issue, everybody's saying now.
Do you want to switch it over to this?
Yeah,
one?
okay, so I'm going to switch microphones, see if this works. Okay, so we've switched to the MacBook Pro microphone. Definitely looks like it's working.
Yeah,
so
let us know if this is better.
Hopefully it's fixed the audio issue.
And if it is, maybe we'll stop using the boom mic thing.
Yeah, I think
and
the
we'll
boom mic's
move
having
to
issues.
this.
We're going to need to test that one out because
Yeah.
you guys were saying last week there was a problem with it too. It might just need a new battery, but Derek and I will test that out separately. Thanks for letting us know, by the way, because that's really helpful.
Katie Smith, nice and loud, very cool. So I'm glad that
Great.
fixed it.
Okay, so we'll just run with this one.
Yeah. See, we're just trying to be too fancy, guys.
Actually, Nick's saying there's cell phone interference. That might have been the case because Derek's cell phone was literally on top of my computer.
Yeah, but it's silenced.
Yeah,
so
I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway, so we'll move on. What were we talking about before? So much better, she says. Okay.
There we go. What
Thanks,
else?
everybody.
Tons of water. So we were talking about like food, snacks, drinks, and all that kind of stuff. But like, hydrate. You're on the water. If you're on a boat, even if you're not on a boat, just really trying to do something to keep yourself hydrated. Because one of the things that like
Derek
I noticed.
drank so much alcoholic beverages yesterday, and he was like, I'm so dehydrated at the end of the day. Definitely bring a lot of water and drink it.
Yeah, work on the. So like today we took no alcohol on the boat and just drink water basically. But yeah, no, it's important because you're getting a lot more sun than you're probably used to, a lot more fresh air and all that kind of stuff, and it can tucker you out. And especially if you also get dehydrated, that's just like a double whammy. And you're here to kind of hopefully bond with the people that you're with, hang out, have a lot of fun, and you don't want it to end early because you just can't stay awake.
And Nick's right too. He's saying Gatorade as well with the water, and even if that means like if you can't have Gatorade, for example, like just having electrolyte water because you're sweating and you're maybe doing water sports and everything like that. Like, I mean, if you're out all day, you're definitely going to want some sort of electrolytes in you. Gatorade's great. They love, like Derek's family loves to bring that out. But like Powerade. I just buy electrolyte water at Whole Foods in like giant bottles, like their name store brand one. Smart Water is like fancy stuff, but a lot of stores will just have like store brand electrolyte water. Yeah,
I like the Gatorade Zero and stuff like that. Like the 0 calorie stuff is pretty good. Those are nice.
Yeah, but agree with Thomas Reiser. Those are great for boats. What else?
So we're kind of getting to the end of our list a little bit. We have on here coffee and filters.
That's just
really,
for like the house.
That's if you're like renting a house, if you're doing something like that, you probably want to make sure that know what the coffee situation looks like, because
you
a lot
wake
of times
up the next morning and you're like, every single person wants coffee, and if it's a machine or something like that, you want to make sure that you've brought enough filters and that sort of thing too.
Eric Brown, welcome, sir.
Welcome, Eric.
Travel Adventures with Eric B.
Love it.
Just
Great
got done bowling. How'd you do? Did you get a perfect game? That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Hopefully you had a good time bowling.
I'm very surprisingly good at bowling for who I am. And
for somebody who does not bowl often.
For somebody who does not bowl often. I just happened to take like a bowling class in high school, and kind of learned how to do it. And so I don't get a perfect score, but I've definitely done like 3 strikes in a row. I think that's called a turkey and stuff like that. And I remember I warn people in advance. I'm like, just so you know, when we're going bowling, like I'm weirdly good at this, and then people are always like, okay, whatever. And then they get where they're like, whoa, she is better than we expected.
Eric is saying, haha, he took bowling in college.
Yes, Megan, I've gotten many turkeys in my day.
She was asking Eric Brown if he got a turkey.
If he got a turkey, I'm sorry. Eric Brown, you gotta tell us. For sure.
So,
Eric took bowling in college, yes. So he's cooler than
He's
I
a
am.
professor of bowling.
He's got his PhD in bowling. So bowling alleys are still definitely not open in Illinois. Are they open here?
Although gyms are opening next month.
So we're
July 24th.
Anyone who's joined recently, we are in Indiana. But we're like way closer to Cincinnati than Indianapolis.
We would be considered part of the Cincinnati metropolitan area, I think.
And we're at Derek's parents' house on the lake, which is why you don't recognize this background.
I like that. Eric B is saying lots of turkey, but only a couple tonight.
Nice. A couple tonight is still that's still
really
something.
good.
Bravo.
Peter Melander says it's a PhD of bowling sciences.
I love it. We always joked about underwater basket weaving classes at IU. But I did take at Indiana. I took classes. Like I think it was like 1 credit hour of like Pilates and yoga. And you started.
I took a lot of like
taking-
weightlifting, taekwondo, archery.
What's the one that you had to drop?
Filipino stick fighting. I had to drop Filipino stick fighting.
Not because he was bad at it, but it just.
No, I got into a
schedule.
finance program that met on some of the same days as that class, and you were only allowed to miss like 2 classes or you failed. And so they weren't willing to work with me, so that was sad. I really enjoyed it. Filipino stick fighting is a lot of fun. You get these like bamboo, like 2.5 foot long type sticks, and you get to like hit people. It's a lot of fun.
Nick D, I used a 10-pound bowling ball the last few times, and I think when I took the class, that's like my sweet spot. Although right now during quarantine, I feel like I've been losing a little bit of muscle mass, so maybe I'd have to move down to 9 or 8 if I were gonna go right now.
As I say, my favorite, physical class that I took in college though was definitely archery, because I enjoyed archery in like high school and all that stuff, and it was like a lot of fun to like actually learn from somebody like the basics of it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so Derek has his archery bow here in this house, and he took it out today. He wasn't like using the arrows or anything. He was just showing me it, and I was like, "Whoa!"
I was like, "Can we mount this in our bedroom above our bed?"
No.
She said that. she said that.
But Derek did do archery in high school. It's pretty neat. Before it was like cool because of the Hunger Games.
I don't think it ever became cool. But
I think there was like a period of time when the youngsters, the ones younger than us, thought it was cool.
Man, I really missed my.
You missed your moment.
I missed my moment. I missed my window.
You were ahead of your times.
Yeah, no, I did. I loved archery. It was a lot of fun.
Nick's asking which Big Ten school is the biggest rival for Indiana University.
Purdue.
It is Purdue.
Yeah. My dad actually, he graduated from Purdue, though you would never know it by looking at our house because there's a lot of IU stuff in this
He went
house.
to IU and then graduated from Purdue, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Purdue and IU have a hate relationship,
Yeah.
according to Eric Zacarias,
There
my
he
daddy.
is.
Although what I will say is that as I've like grown up and like left Indiana, I'd say that I feel less of a hate relationship with people that went to Purdue, because I'm just like, you're from Indiana too.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, welcome. Like you made it.
Oh
like,
my goodness, we went to school. The
you
same
made like
state.
so like if I was in New York and I met somebody from Purdue, I'm like, welcome. It's like or same
Or
thing in
like,
Chicago.
honestly,
even, like,
any big. Okay, so when we were in New York, it's like if anyone was from a Big Ten school, it'd be like, "Oh, you get us. you understand."
Yeah, it's kind of funny with that, because you're just like, oh, it's when you're in college, you think it's so important, that rivalry and stuff, but you realize it's like we have a lot more in common than we have differences, compared to like the Ivy Leagues
Totally.
or something like that. It's like I'd much rather see a guy from Purdue like do well than
Yeah, and I love how like
Harvard.
Mark
or
Walters
something.
always teases me about
Nothing
the
against
fact that.
Harvard.
So I studied marketing in Indiana, and Mark Walters is a marketing professor at Illinois. And he used to tease me a lot. And I'm like, I can't say anything bad about Illinois. My parents met at U of I. Like, I exist because of Illinois. Like, I'm not even going there.
Like all of her family went to U of I.
Yeah. Like, so if you want me to say to participate in this rivalry, that there's no chance. My whole existence is because of U of I. So
Nick is saying the same goes with the Golden Gophers and the Wisconsin Badgers.
Yeah.
In a hate relationship.
Wisconsin's interesting. So I got into that. Sorry, we digress, and we'll get back to travel stuff soon. But Wisconsin's an interesting school. I got in there, and I toured it, and it's like red and white, just like IU is. There's a lot of similarities, I feel. But I went in December, and that was my biggest time. So I went to IU and toured it in like the spring. It was beautiful, wonderful weather, and I went to Wisconsin at like I think it was 5 degrees outside. I did the 100-minute walking tour, and then they offered me free ice cream at the end, and I was like, yeah, I'm cold. Like, I can't go here. And so, yeah, I have major respect for Wisconsin and their business school and everything, but I went the wrong day, that's for sure. But yeah, so I think we've gone through a pretty big list. Just want to kind of second the fact that, like, you should definitely bring like a first aid kit with you if you are going somewhere like by yourself. You should definitely bring to the lake, like, no matter what, even if it's like a cabin, just anywhere rural, bring what you need, and like overpacking's okay. There's no prize for packing too little. It's just going to be super important that you have like the kind of stuff that you need if you're not going to be able to like make it to a Walgreens or Walmart for like a 20-minute drive or something like that. So anyway, Lori Sim says tennis, swimming, snow skiing for PE. That's so neat. So I think Lori's in California. I don't know where you could do tennis and swimming and snow skiing in California, but that's pretty cool. We definitely had like tennis units, and we had a swimming unit in high school too, but not snow skiing because I'm from the Midwest and we don't do that. But yeah, Thomas says he always overpacks. I don't know if you were talking about for road trips. Hey Derek, we can hear you.
Good night.
But I don't know if you're talking about for road trips or for like regular trips. But yeah, thanks Darian for joining. It was so great to have you as always. Really appreciate all your support on this channel. It means a lot. So hope you have a really great rest of the night. And Bonnie's on.
Bonnie!
Hello. Welcome. Bonnie. She says, hello from Canmore. No, I am not Mike from Canmore. Just popped in to say hi, celebrating a birthday with a staycation.
Oh,
Banff tomorrow.
That's really cool.
Bonnie, I'm so
Happy
jealous.
birthday.
Banff is definitely on our list if the Canadian-U.S. border opens up by the time that we want to do our road trip. So
Yep.
Write down all of your favorite things, and we're going to hit you up.
Yeah.
But thanks for dropping in. We really appreciate it.
it.
And just want to say happy birthday to Mo, and happy birthday to whoever Bonnie is hanging out with. So really.
Wait, whoa. Mo loves archery, and he needs to get back to it, and horse riding.
I know. Mo and you are like best friends.
Do you do archery on horseback? Because that would be freaking dope.
Important question I didn't think about.
Huge question that I can't believe you didn't ask.
Yeah.
But
Derek,
very cool.
Derek really wants to be good at horseback riding. But you've been twice now, right? So I kind of
Sure.
grew up like randomly horseback riding enough to be okay with horseback riding. Like, I definitely don't know how to canter. I don't know how to do like jumps or anything like that. But like, I did enough horseback riding to kind of feel comfortable enough on a horse. I feel like we talked about this on a recent live stream. But so Derek, when we started dating, he was like, I really want to own a horse ranch in Mexico someday. And I'm like, say what now? And so then I was like, have you ever even been on a horse? And he's like, no.
Yeah, at that point I had never been on a horse. But what I will say is that one of my great uncles, one of my great uncles owned a horse ranch in Mexico. And so when I heard that story as a kid, I always thought like, oh, that'd be really cool. Like I could own a horse ranch in Mexico. So that's always just been like a little dream of mine out there. So yeah, we'll see. Lori Sim says, oh, sorry, snow skiing was while I was at Utah State. We had our local ski mountain. Oh, that's really cool.
Is that the one that's in Provo?
Where is Utah State, Lori?
I feel like I've driven past Utah State. Is it in Moab? No.
I have no idea where Utah State is. But, Lori, if you'd like to let us know, that'd be awesome. We've been watching a great History Channel show while we've been here with my parents that takes place in Utah, though.
Oh my god,
And
it's so scary.
If anybody is looking for a really interesting show on History Channel that might include aliens, it's called
still is a mite. By the way,
it's
we
called
don't know.
Skinwalker Ranch. It takes place in northern Utah on a ranch
Veronica,
that has a lot of like
welcome.
UFO
Thanks
and
for joining.
paranormal activity.
Yeah.
And we've been watching it every night, and it's a lot of fun.
Yes, Veronica, sure.
Yeah, you
We're
can ask
chatting
something.
about travel. I don't know if you wanted to ask us about aliens or Utah or travel or anything. But
Malcolm is saying that he's driven race type horses with the cart at the back of them. Harness racing. That's really interesting. Actually, Indiana does a lot of that.
Yeah. My best friend's mom actually has a horse in Indianapolis that she keeps it at a stable and like goes and rides it and everything like that. But then they end up. So my best friend lives in Utah in Salt Lake City, and her mom will fly out and they'll like actually go horseback riding, not with the same horse, different horses, in all the national parks out in Utah. And I'm like, that is so neat. Like, I would sign me up. I would totally do horseback riding in the national parks. That would be so cool. When we went to Zion in January, I remember seeing a sign that said like there's horseback riding kind of seasonally, I believe. We just weren't there because we were there like January 7th or something like that. No, that's your birthday. We were there January 5th or something. And so it was just really cool to basically be able to. I
like Lori's thing that Utah State is in Logan and is close to the Idaho border, where we would go to buy real beer and liquor.
Nice. Hopefully not close to the Skinwalker Ranch though, because I have the chills.
Heebie-jeebies.
The heebie-jeebies. I haven't been able to sleep the past 2 nights because of watching this.
That's my baby.
Yeah. If you guys are really into like paranormal stuff though, it might be a show for you, but maybe not like right before bed. Veronica looked like she was maybe it ended up being a troll. So thank you, Malcolm.
She's saying she loves horseback riding.
Okay, because some message got deleted by Malcolm and Megan. So we're very chill here. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, we're very chill.
But we definitely like to keep everything like super positive and talk about travel related stuff. So hopefully everyone's along for that ride.
Try to keep it to those types of topics and everything. But thanks for coming, Veronica. We really appreciate having you here. So
thank you, Eric, for that wise piece of wisdom.
Aliens are returning with Bigfoot.
Thank you from the peanut gallery over there.
So that's the other. So all right. So I guess speaking of the History Channel, we were talking about that last night, and I don't know if anybody is a big fan of the History Channel. When you look at what the History Channel has become versus what it was, there's a lot more aliens, a lot more Bigfoot, Sasquatch, like paranormal stuff. I feel like the history is in quotes a little bit sometimes, but it makes for some really entertaining television. Like, I won't lie, I enjoy watching it, but I still remember when they first came out with, I think it was Ancient Aliens was on History Channel years ago, and that is like the funnest thing to watch, about the conspiracy theories about like what all was created by aliens. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's Stonehenge, Egypt, Machu Picchu, everything was made by aliens. Oh yeah,
let's talk about, so Derek and I did our Stonehenge summer solstice Saturday soiree on Saturday. It feels so long ago.
Oh my goodness, we haven't talked to these people since then.
We haven't talked to you guys about it. So I know that we told you we were going to do it last live stream. So
it was
here's
a success.
What we ended up doing. Yes, it was a
great success.
Great success.
So bad. Okay.
So they were streaming the sunset at like 3:30 our time, and then the sunrise at Stonehenge at, I think it was 10:30 our time. And so what we ended up doing was creating like basically an at-home party that was themed all British things.
Yeah, because it was Stonehenge, we were like, all right, so like let's do super Britishy things, and so we did. Our roommate Megan who we
Yes.
love and adore.
We wish she was here right now.
She was baking for us, which was really cool, and she baked us a blueberry lemon loaf that we had with tea, which was very tasty. It had like a lemon drizzle on top. It was very nice. I went off keto for that. I was eating lots and lots of carbs. So she made that, and we had that with tea, which was really good. We actually had some of the tea that we got from China when we were there last year, which was really cool. Yeah, Nick D, Ancient Aliens. Yeah, we can get into the whole, like, them diminishing what ancient
And then we
people
could get
were
into
able to
what the
accomplish.
Travel
Yeah,
Channel is now,
yes.
too, but we'll pass by that and talk about our summer solstice soiree instead.
Yeah, so so we were doing that, and so we had that, and then she also made scones or scones, depending on your
Depending on your
predilection,
persuasion.
how you like it. Scones or scones, and they actually turned out really, really nice.
Yeah.
And so we had those with clotted cream and jam, and I cut mine in half, and I did it both in the Devonshire style as well as the Cornish style, I guess, of
He tried
whether
it
you
both
put
ways.
the cream on the bottom or the jam on the bottom, sort of thing, which is really nice.
Yep.
And then there was
So we had a whole debate about this like months ago on this live stream. Did you have a preference, or did they all kind of taste the same to your American palate?
they were both very tasty and delicious.
Okay.
I think I like the cream on the bottom because the jam's heavier, which means that the jam actually like smushes through the cream a little bit, which makes it mix more, and it's like less layered.
So clotted cream, Malcolm, is actually not whipped cream. It's a very, very heavy cream condiment.
It's
basically.
very viscous.
Yeah, I can't eat it because
It's
I'm
not
lactose
sweet.
intolerant. It would like destroy me.
Yeah, it's really not sweet.
But it's delicious.
It's very just creamy. I don't know how to say it.
If you ever go to England and you order like a traditional high tea service, because you're like a tourist and you're like, I want to do this.
Yeah.
Which we do as much as we can. The clotted cream that you can get there is like very, very normal for British people to eat. We had to search high and low. We finally found, I found clotted cream at Whole Foods in the like fancy cheese area, which makes no sense. But like it wasn't by the yogurts, it wasn't by the cream section, like the sour cream or anything like that. It was like in the fancy part.
It was in the fancy section.
Yeah.
Real quick, Richie and Vanessa, welcome.
Welcome to you guys, Richie
Thanks
and
for joining
Vanessa.
us.
Thanks for joining.
Really appreciate it. So we did that. We did scones with like clotted cream and jam.
We
which was
bought
very
everything
good.
to make cucumber sandwiches too, and then we never made them.
Yeah, we had like the cream cheese and cucumber and everything to do those, but those did not get made because we ended up being like, this is way too much food.
And we bought everything to make like salmon sandwiches, because
Yeah.
cucumber sandwiches and salmon sandwiches like with the crusts cut off are so
Little
traditional.
triangles,
So
yeah,
cute.
very cute.
So we'll have to like do another one or something.
Yeah. So we didn't
We
do
got
that.
full.
We got full. And then for dinner, I cooked and I made homemade fish and chips. So I did a beer battered fish fry as well as homemade kind of like Belgian frites, like double fried French fries, chips, what have you. And I thought it turned out pretty good. Actually, Eliz ended up eating it the next day because she had a little bit of a tummy ache because too much dairy from the other stuff.
I braved the dairy quantities and.
Yeah, so she ended up having it the next day.
I was
and
bested.
It was actually pretty good. We did, the one thing about fish and chips, because it's a fried food, right, is that if you want to reheat it, you should reheat it like under a broiler or something like that to like get it crisp again. So the fish actually turned out pretty good.
It was delicious. I totally would have you make that again.
Yeah, so really good. And fried fish is super easy.
I bought like fresh
surprisingly
cod.
easy.
So I don't know how it would turn out if it was like frozen cod and then you fry it, but it tasted so much like fish and chips, regular like fish and chips that you would get in England. So he did such a phenomenal job. Hello, Nick Burnett. We have
all the Nicks.
I'm so happy. All the Nicks are here.
Nick B, Nick
Although,
D.
I haven't seen Nick Peterson talk in a while, so
You might have lost the other
welcome,
Nick, but
Nick Barnett.
we got lots of
though.
Nicks.
Great to have you.
So, so we did fish and chips. We watched Harry Potter. So it was just very British, super British. And we did do the summer solstice.
Yay for the Nicks.
Yeah, so we did. We watched the summer solstice. Unfortunately, it was a little bit overcast and cloudy this year. The I will say for the sunset, the clouds were pretty dramatic, which was really nice. So it looked really cool. And they kind of went back and forth between a stationary camera that was like kind of like 4K to kind of like more handheld and whatnot. So it was pretty neat. And we actually ended up turning on because. I would say the one unfortunate thing that English Heritage, who was the organization that put this on, they didn't have any sort of like narration or anything going. It was very much just like you just watched it.
Yeah.
And you heard like the wind blowing in the background.
So yeah.
So I found a podcast on Stonehenge.
He was brilliant. He put on a podcast
And
to tell us about the history of Stonehenge.
And because it was like this long event with like no narration, I was like, I found one, put it on. It was actually really nice. It was a BBC podcast on it with a bunch of comedians. So it was a lot of fun and it was pretty funny.
Eric Brown, that's a good one, by the way. Hashtag just in the nick of time. I love it. Also, we have 2 Erics on here now. So we've got 2 Erics, 3 Nicks, and I'm digging it.
Yeah, so that's really funny.
Isn't it? I know you were talking, and I'm just like sitting here laughing.
Yeah, so I was just talking about some of the different things with it and whatnot. And, it was fun because you get to hear, about how long ago it was. Stonehenge was actually created like fairly around the same time as like the pyramids in Egypt, and so there's like all those commentary around those things and like the Neolithic era when it arrived at the British Isles, and it came later because they had to travel through Europe to get there, and so like they were still in the Stone Age when others were in the Bronze Age, and so there's a lot of cool history there that I thought was pretty interesting. They were talking about the fact that they found the actual quarries where the blue stones, which are some of the stones in Stonehenge that weigh like 8 tons, where those came from in Wales. So they know exactly where they came from,
It was
which
the
is like
Pembrokeshire
really
coast, for all who were curious.
Yeah. So it's all really, really cool. Katie is asking, so she says that she's never been to Stonehenge, and she wants to know if it's easy to get to from London and worth seeing.
It's easy in the sense that, like, if you're taking a train, you can't really get there. But if you join a coach bus tour, or you do a private tour, or
There's
something
a bunch
like
of
that,
day trips from London.
Easy day trip, very easy day trip, and a lot of people couple it with going to Bath. So they'll stop, and Derek's done that trip. So they'll stop at Stonehenge and then go to Bath and then come back to London.
That was my first way
We
of
both have
experiencing
been there,
it.
but we've been there separately. So I went with a bunch of my girlfriends when I was studying abroad, and we toured the whole museum. It probably takes like 2.5 hours to tour the whole property, and if you're really into it. If you're totally not into like the history of it, maybe just an hour.
You don't need a long time there,
Yeah.
because you can't get super close because they've had a lot of issues with vandalism.
Yeah.
So maybe you can get within like 50 feet of it. They give you like a handy like audio tour, so you can like go. You walk around the circle. It's a little windy.
I love audio tours. I'm such a nerd about that.
Yeah.
It's like it just makes it so much more meaningful. And that's like the whole premise behind this channel too, is like meaningful travel.
Yeah.
So
what you end up doing is you get off, you go to the thing, you get your like headphones and all that stuff, and you go around the circle, and they talk about the history of Stonehenge and all that kind of stuff. And then they get into like some of the legends and myths surrounding it. Was it Merlin that created it? All that good stuff to commemorate a battle that Uther Pendragon won or something like that. So it's all that good stuff that you get to experience, and it really only takes like an hour, maybe tops. It's like in the middle of a field. There's sheep grazing. We're like pretty close to it.
Yeah.
So it's not like there's a ton to do or
it's
see
right
around
off
it.
the highway. So like the bus, it's basically on the highway to Bath. So there would never, unless it's a half day tour or something like that, like
It shouldn't be a full day.
It should not be a full day tour. You'd want, so the way that most people do it, if they're in London, is I'm sure there's ones that will pick you up at your hotel if you're doing a private tour, but like if you're doing, a bigger bus tour to save money, make it more economical, you'll maybe meet at like a specific spot at 8 a.m. Then you'll get to Stonehenge at like 9:30. You probably leave at like 11 from Stonehenge and then go to Bath, have lunch in Bath, and then tour Bath all afternoon and then get back to London. And that's a very, very typical kind of itinerary. You've done it, I've done it. It's cool.
So,
it's good to do once.
Yeah.
I don't think we would do Stonehenge again. We would definitely do Bath again, and we have. I have now been 4 times, I think.
We've been to Bath a lot. We've been there. I've been there 3 times or something like that. And what I would say is that Bath has stuff to do. It's a city. Stonehenge is a tourist stop on the side of the road sort of thing. Not a lot to do or see around it. You go there, you see it because if you appreciate history and you appreciate what it is, it's worth seeing. That said, you don't want to spend a lot of time there because once you've heard the whole tour and all that, like, there's not much else to do. I would go back. I would actually go back to Stonehenge for a solstice.
Yeah, for photography.
And just to experience it.
Yeah.
I would go back for like a solstice. Like if there was like an event there, and it's like a cultural event where like the druids come out and like all that kind of stuff, like that, I would go to.
They're fake druids now.
I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care.
They're real druids, sorry. They're real.
Doesn't matter. I'd still go do it. So,
No, it's super neat. Just like if you're into that kind of, what is it? Iron Age, Stone Age. I think it's
Neolithic monuments.
I actually
basically.
think it's Bronze Age.
No, they're Neolithic.
Neolithic. Okay. But if you're into that kind of like, if you're into archaeology, if you're into really like more ancient stuff and mysteries, because there's so much mystery behind Stonehenge, listen to podcasts. It's going to get you super excited to visit.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's my whole thing with it.
Mo is asking a really great question. Do we have any plans to go to the Isle of Man? Totally. I've actually never been, neither has Derek. And I've been to a lot of places in the UK, but that's one place I haven't. Neither of us have been to Cornwall or the Lakes District either. So like those probably are the top 3 areas that if we get to go back to the UK, those are like the spots that we're really interested in. Other than visiting you in Northern Ireland, which we would love to do. But yeah, so a lot of people are agreeing Bath is really, really cool. Katie says she's never been to Stonehenge. So we were answering that question. Yes, it's a train to Salisbury and then go from there. So I guess you could maybe take
It takes about an hour and a half to get from London to Bath.
I know it's literally right off of the highway. So I don't know if I would take the train there versus doing a coach bus. Would imagine that a day trip with a coach would be the most economical way to do it. Yeah, I would agree with that. I always hear Stonehenge is a disappointment, but I still want to go. So, disappointment is a strong word in my personal opinion and experience.
To me, you just need to have a good expectation for what you're going to experience.
Yeah.
Like, you need to understand what it is and what it's not. You can't get right up on it, like understanding all of that. If you have that as your baseline, I think it can be an enjoyable experience and something worth seeing. It's like going to like some of the Neolithic like burial sites where you like basically like walk into a little cave and out. It's like not that much of an experience. You're in and out in like 20 minutes, but understanding like, oh my God, that's like a multi-ton block of stone that had to get moved without a wheel. Like that's pretty amazing.
It's incredible. Like, and nobody knows how it got there. So just understanding the history and, you can learn about it once you're there too. There's a whole museum that you kind of have to go through just to get out there. It's super, super neat. But yeah, I mean, disappointment, I don't know about that. It's just, it's just knowing.
Yeah, you just need, again, happiness is where expectations meet reality. So like, just know what you're getting into before you go, and like it can be a great.
You're not going to be like having an Outlander moment where you're touching the stone and then go back in time.
Yes, that's not going to happen. Although if that does happen to you,
if that does happen,
kudos.
Like come back on this live stream and then let us know.
Tell your ancestors to invest in Apple. Kidding. Yeah, no.
This is not a stocks tips channel. We've been over this. I guess if you go back in time, do what you need to do.
Get out before the bust of the internet stocks. No.
So I think we were saying, Katie Smith, so she loves history. So does, we both love history, but Derek loves history, and Derek's brother Evan is like literally majoring in history, basically. He's right here, he's off camera. You might want to at least put his hand in the thing, say hi.
Hello, bro.
He's studying history right now. He could probably tell us all the info about Stonehenge.
Probably more than I know. So Eric Brown is saying that he's still scared to death to drive in the UK. So Eric, driving in the UK, so I've done that. I've driven, we did a road trip through Scotland and whatnot, so we were driving from Glasgow and all around and whatnot. I'll say that, it takes some getting used to. After the first couple hours, though, you're fine. I say probably the most at-risk part is when you first get in the car and you're leaving the airport, actually, because that's where it's more like city driving, and you have like more roundabouts and things like that. But once you get past that, it's a lot easier, because then you're on like highways and like state roads or whatever their equivalent is. The thing about Scotland, though, is a lot of those roads are smaller. They're not like big highways a lot of times, so you might end up on more narrow, two-lane highway type things. You just need to get used to it. It takes like anything, like it takes a little bit of time to get used to. But it's not too hard. It's not too bad. I would say I was more comfortable probably driving in the UK than I was in Italy.
That you had a navigator, though. Like, if you were doing it by yourself, at least for me.
I don't know. You freaked out a lot, so that was not easy. You're, oh my god!
Is that me?
We're getting close to the edge.
Oh, okay. So what's scary in the UK is because, like, you might be, especially in Scotland, you might be driving along a road and there's like a giant stone wall next to you, and it's just like, oh my goodness, if anything happens, like, there's no shoulder. You're just driving straight into that stone barrier.
Yeah, so it's not too bad, but yeah.
And there's, big trucks, or as they might call it there, lorries, and you're like, oh my gosh, are we okay? Yeah. That big truck is like so close to the wall.
The whole thing there is that, and I agree exactly with what Thomas Rise was saying about getting a nav in the UK. So it's not about just having a navigator like my wife. It's also about just having some sort of access to internet or cell reception that will give you like a Google Maps or equivalent to get you places. And this is something that we've harped on, when we've been talking about a lot of different things. And load it while you still
have cell reception, because
you might lose it and then you're just relying on GPS.
Yeah, especially in Scotland, you might completely lose your cell phone reception, and then at that point you're kind of in a pickle, because there's no way to load the map after that.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same in the U.S. if you end up in a rural area and you don't have reception for whatever reason.
Right. Like lots of parts of Utah, for example. Like, Utah's huge for foreign travelers. They love the national parks there and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, there's a lot of really rural, no cell reception spots. And if you don't have the downloaded map in advance and all that, like, I don't know. Hopefully you have walkie-talkies. You're gonna be in trouble.
Yeah, but that's why I was saying that I felt like the UK generally is easier actually to drive in than some other places like Italy. Italy I thought was actually a little bit more tough, because there's a lot more, at least from my experience, there's a lot more like one-way roads that are actually two-way. So like it's one lane, but cars are going both directions. You need to like pull off and like let the other person go and things like that. And not speaking the language fluently or anything like that, or not even almost, it made reading signs a little bit more difficult. And if you didn't have a nav, if you didn't have like Google Maps or something like that for that trip, we'd not be married right now. We would have been divorced probably. It would have been super stressful. So having something like that is super important, and I think totally worth the expense if you're driving, because you just want to make things
like $10 a day or something like that.
Yeah.
So it feels like it'll be a lot, especially if you're there for a week or two. But just that peace of mind can be a lifesaver.
And we use it all the time, even when you're in a city and you're not driving. I mean, being in Paris and trying to find restaurants, for example, and like walking around trying to find them, it's so hard to find like what street am I on? Little things like that, like
because the street names will change, and you're like, wait, did I take the wrong turn? Oh my gosh!
So like things like that, like using something that can give you directions for walking is super super helpful, and something that we didn't have when we were in college and we were traveling around Europe while studying abroad. But like now, it's like, God, I can't imagine. Like I remember us getting lost on our way to dinner. The first time we went to Lakehouse, we got lost. And we had no idea where we were, and we finally found the restaurant. We were probably 30 to 40 minutes late for our reservation, and luckily they were like, oh, of course, like it happens all the time, but we were super lucky.
Yeah.
So
Nick says he's a big history person. History is a big factor in deciding where to travel to.
Very
I
cool.
think he also said something else. I saw somebody say like they don't like to go to places without history.
Yeah, no, Nick did. He says places with no history, no matter how flashy or fancy, typically bores me. So a lot of people will talk about Dubai and the UAE as a place that has a lot of recent things and a little bit lighter on the more authentic history and whatnot. So a lot of people have some issues there. Singapore, there's a lot of people that talk about Singapore in a similar regard. And then the other one that I hear a lot about is, so you juxtapose those, right? So people say, instead of going to like a Dubai or something like that, you should really go to, Lebanon or something along those lines, where there's a lot more history, a lot more culture. We would love to
go to Petra
Go
someday.
to Uzbekistan.
Or Silk Road.
Jordan. There's a lot of stuff you can go see and do that has a richer, or at least deeper, a little less surface culture. Not to say there's not that in the UAE, but it's harder to find.
But you even have like a friend from Bahrain that we would be interested in going out there.
Oh yeah, no, he's a cool dude.
Whenever we can fly again to other countries, which right now.
Yeah, Singapore. I loved Singapore. I thought Singapore was awesome. I would go back in a heartbeat. I think it's the easiest place in Asia to go to as a Western tourist. They speak English. It's very clean. It's hyper modern, and the fact that it's like a city state. I mean, everything is up to date and very nice. That said, like it's not as gritty as other places like Hong Kong, and obviously there's a lot of stuff going on in Hong Kong around like the protests and everything that's happening there. But Hong Kong is a beautiful and vibrant city that I think is very much well worth people's time and attention. And a lot of like veteran tourists or travelers will tell you that Hong Kong has more authenticity that they recommend over maybe Singapore. Even though I would say if you were reticent about going to Asia, Singapore is a phenomenal first stop. Japan is also very nice, although Japan's a little bit harder from like a English language perspective. So
yeah, I would
and
love to
if
go to
you're
Hong
watching
Kong.
us,
Derek
you
got
probably
to
speak
go,
English. So
Derek got to go to Hong Kong without me. I was so jealous. And then Thomas says his undergraduate degree was in history.
Nice, Thomas.
Which makes me think that you might have a graduate degree, so let us know what that is in if you do. But yeah, Derek's younger brother is really interested in history, and he's like the history buff. So Derek's the history buff between us as a couple, but his younger brother is like phenomenal with history. He has one of those like memories that knows it all. And then Malcolm says to Lori, you tired of people posing with the hands holding up the tower very quickly. Yeah, I'm assuming you're talking about in Pisa, because I was seeing that you guys were talking about Pisa earlier. When I was at Stonehenge, I actually took a similar photo as a joke. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I had my friend take a picture, and this was back in 2009 before cell phone cameras. I think it was with an actual Canon ELPH camera. Okay, I'll go this way. So it was here, pretend Derek's Stonehenge, and I'm like this, basically. So it was a joke, but you can kind of do that anywhere. Was what I'm trying to say. You don't have to just be at Pisa. It's fun to experiment with, and if you're with your friends. But yeah, I can see if everybody's doing it at the Eiffel Tower, at Pisa, at Leaning Tower of Pisa, then you're like, all right, cool.
Yeah. So Katie Smith is saying so many historians in the chat, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I love that.
And then Nick Barnett is saying that he's driven to several countries, but never ones where they're driving on the left side. And he's done a very good job of avoiding those countries so far. Well, Nick, you're missing out, because I think that a lot of the countries that drive on the left-hand side, namely the UK, are really cool. I really enjoy them.
And New Zealand.
And New Zealand.
Yeah. Super fun.
But I've never been to New Zealand. And I've
Ireland
been to the UK.
drives on the left side, I think, too. And Northern Ireland for Mo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah, so Mo's saying that driving in the UK is not that bad. Just get a sat nav and pay attention always. Some roads look like it has one lane until a tractor shows up in front of you. Yeah, that's super important. Nick D is saying, though, he got pulled over in Australia and the cops just said, "Oh, you're American," and let me go. That actually happened to me in Italy. We were in Italy after a wine tasting. I was sober. But, we got pulled over leaving, I want to say it was Barolo or Barbaresco. And all of a sudden, these, two cops, walked into the middle of the road with, a stop sign. And I was like, what the heck is happening? So, I stopped. And they come over and they start speaking Italian to me. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're saying. But, handed them my, international driver's license from the AAA, which is, translated in a bunch of different languages. Handed them that. They looked at it, looked at me, and they're just like, "Yeah, send me on my way." Because I think they were like, we don't speak good English, and he doesn't. It's not worth our time. So I think it was just a random stop that actually happens sometimes in some of these countries, where they stop people just to make sure people aren't drinking and driving and whatnot. So which I'm all for that.
I respect that.
Drinking and driving is very dangerous, and I think that
don't do it.
Eric B is saying Italy and their small cars. Yeah, they do like their small cars, but they also like to drive fast. Italian drivers, they all think they're Mario Andretti. They're
if you're going
tailgate
somewhere
the heck
rural,
out of you.
If you're going somewhere rural in Italy, it's just like our recommendation when we were talking about how to rent cars in Scotland at another live stream. The smaller your car that you can get, the better, because you can be on those crazy, really small lane roads, or just the one lane that should be 2 lane. And
you're on a little road that goes through same thing in France, same thing everywhere, right? In Europe, you're going through. All of a sudden, you're on a road, and then you go through a tiny town, and you're going through the middle of the freaking town on this little one-way street, through the middle of a medieval town, and you're just oh my god, I'm gonna kill somebody. I'm trying to be very, very careful. It's
and we normally drive an SUV, so it's just a very different experience.
Yeah, when we went to Scotland for our road trip a couple of years ago, a good friend of ours was like, "They're gonna try to upgrade you. Don't let them upgrade you. Say no, I want the economy
the smallest
car, the smallest car that you could put me in. That's what the one I want."
Yeah.
Because different places. In Scotland, it's more of the narrower lanes, no shoulder, kind of looks like you're going to drive off of a cliff sort of thing. So that's what you're more fretful about.
Yeah. We also, neither of us know how to drive stick shift. We can only drive automatic, so that limits us a lot when we're abroad. hopefully someday we're both going to learn how to drive stick shift. It was on our 2020 goals, but because of
COVID
everything,
yeah.
they're not the stick shift, like, what is it, driver school in Chicago isn't open yet.
I skipped a bunch of stuff. Sorry.
That's okay. Oh wow, you really did skip a bunch of stuff.
Didn't mean to. Yeah, so Nick is saying that he appreciates that in London, before crossing the street, it tells you which way to look. Like, if you look down, it says, like, look left, look right, and all that stuff. No, that's really important.
You just have to know your lefts and rights.
Nick even says that it saved his life several times, literally. But
the
it's one of those
Walters
things.
have a great video about that too. Like to
if you think about it, so Winston Churchill, when he came to the U.S., he was doing like a book tour in the U.S. He almost died because he looked the wrong way. He stepped in the street, got hit by a car. He almost died.
He got hit by a car?
Yeah, it was like in New York.
I didn't know that. Historians, man. On this chat.
There's like a whole thing there, and like I wouldn't be shocked if they're like, we need this not to happen here. We didn't do that.
There's nowhere in the U.S., by the way, that has that.
Yeah. Lori is saying Italy, Tuscany by Vespa. Tuscany by Vespa would be a lot of fun. I would do that.
Sorry. I'll be right back. Just got a phone call. I need to take. I'll be right back.
Bye.
It's Megan.
Megan's now calling me.
Yeah, hold on.
Our house burnt down. I'm just kidding. God, I hope not. That would suck. Knock on wood. Let's see. Have you driven a Vespa in Italy? Okay, so Richie and Vanessa are asking Lori if she's driven a Vespa in Italy. Looks like so much fun, and I think I'd be scared to death. So we haven't, but Lori is telling her that she has, and they did a day tour from Florence through the hills of Tuscany on her own Vespa, and it was a great day and one of her highlights of the tour. I would totally do that. That sounds like an incredible experience. You know, something that you're kind of always remember. You know, it gives you really a sense of freedom, and you know, lets you really feel like you're, you know, living your life. It's awesome. So Malcolm is saying that Paris was the hardest for him as a left side driver. So that's interesting. I've never driven through Paris so much. I have driven a car from like the Paris, from like where did I Charles de Gaulle Airport. I think I got the car and we went to the Loire Valley. I've never actually driven through Paris, so that's interesting.
Okay, is that okay? Okay, I'll put you back here.
Yeah, so Nick is saying, that's what I had in mind when I said flashy yet boring place. Wouldn't turn down an opportunity to see Dubai, but much rather go to Jordan or Lebanon.
Sorry, guys.
And Nick is saying even Oman is more interesting than UAE in his opinion.
I would go to Oman. Yeah,
I'd go to Oman. Yeah, of course. And Nick is saying he'd love to go to Singapore just to see the airport. That's a tourist attraction in and of itself.
I was so jealous that Derek got to go.
Yeah, Changi
one of our
Airport.
really good friends lives in Singapore. And like literally, we were going to go. Sorry, did you already say that? Is that what you're poking at me? We're going to go in 2020.
Yeah, so Changi Airport's one of the best airports in the world. Singapore Airlines is one of the best airlines in the world. And Singapore is phenomenal because it's this great fusion of three basic cultures. So there's Malaysian, Chinese, and Indian. So you have this awesome like confluence of religion and ethnicity and food and culture and all this good stuff coming together, and it's really, really neat, and I highly recommend it because even though it feels a little bit more tame and glossy because it is new and it's nice, you know, it has a lot to offer, and I highly recommend it.
Sure. I want to go. I want to go to Singapore so bad. All right, so people are talking about...
Nick D is telling Nick Barnett, so no Epcot. That's funny. Mo is saying
Drinking
that
around the world sounds like a fun activity if we can't ever leave America.
try to hit
again.
every country in Epcot with a beer, get wasted.
I think
it'd be
right
great.
now we're trying to track right now like where we could even go abroad if we wanted to do anything abroad, and the list is so small that we're hoping things change over the next few months.
Nick Barnett says was supposed to swing through Singapore this summer, but COVID-19 said nope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of my super good friends lives in Singapore. He's American, and he lives there. He works there.
Yeah.
So we were hoping to get out there to visit him. We'll see.
Yeah. So Thomas is saying how Jocelyn Walters from Walters World, go check them out if you haven't, but I think you all know who they are.
Walters World, check them out. Subscribe.
They
subscribe to this channel too if you haven't. It's a great
all around
one.
Subscribe.
We're gonna have more videos coming out soon. Right now, it's just been like live streams lately, but videos are coming. We're working on it.
So he's saying, though, that Jocelyn had mentioned that Thomas should go to Japan as kind of like a first place to go in Asia, I think, if I remember this conversation correctly. And Japan's actually really nice. I would say that if you're going to Japan, though, my recommendation is you download the translation apps and stuff in advance so you can like run it over, because the biggest issue that I had was that signs are in like kanji a lot. And so that makes it really hard for a Westerner who doesn't know kanji to like actually read the signs and know where they are. So having that is super helpful. So I would do that. It's also going to help with like just anything text related. So do that in advance. And Japan is really cool. And a lot of the younger people definitely speak English. The toilets are an experience.
Japanese is apparently supposed to be very difficult to like learn and speak and stuff like that if you're a foreigner. But one of the things that I thought was super fun that I saw, I think it was somebody on like in the social media groups that we're in, Walter's World maybe, there's like, I used to be told to bring note cards that have like the picture of a toilet or something, so that way when you're asking, I need to go to the bathroom or whatever, then people know. Somebody had like a shirt with all these different icons.
Yeah, just point.
And so it's point to different parts of your shirt, like toilet, train station, hotel. I don't know. I was like, that's brilliant. I was like, I need to make those. That's so fun, because that way you don't even have to have the icon cards or anything, or you don't have to have cell phone service. It's funny.
Yeah, so it's funny because Megan is saying India also drives on the left. Not that I would be driving whenever I get to go there. I would not drive in India. The driving in India is pretty intense.
Derek's best friend from growing up is Indian.
Yeah.
So even though we haven't been there, we happen to know a lot about it. He goes there a lot and stuff.
Yeah, he goes there a lot and stuff, and we always say we'll go with him the first time we go.
Yeah.
But I mean, you just watch the videos and stuff, and it's like, it's not the place that like as a Westerner I would feel comfortable driving. It's the type of place I would want, and there's a number of countries that are like that have like their driving is just, it's a very different norm on how it works, right? You're like dodging and weaving like nonstop. So understand what your limitations are, and go by that.
Yeah, Lori's saying that I think just about any British colony drives on the left. Obviously, the
Not
U.S. was a British colony, but
July 4th.
And Canada, and we drive on the right. But my understanding is it's kind of a Napoleon influence, and I guess Napoleon was left-handed, and so he wanted to be able to like stab people with his sword or something like that, and so different places that have kind of a French influence actually drive on the right side of the road. That's my understanding. Historians help, confirm, deny.
Interesting. So there's a lot of talk about Epcot and whether or not it's like true history. I don't know. I do remember going to the Mexican restaurant in Epcot, and I thought that was pretty neat. Like,
was it good? Like, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I don't remember. I think it was like decent. I just remember it was the spectacle of it all. Like you go into the Mexican restaurant and it's like an Aztec or a Mayan like temple. Like there's like a step pyramid in the background, a volcano. Like it's pretty fun.
Super neat.
It's really cool, and like they bring out the guacamole. I remember that they bring out the guacamole and like the.
How can you be upset if anybody brings out guacamole?
Traditional kind of like.
By the way,
Mortar
Derek
pestle type
made
thing.
fresh guacamole this week too. On top of making his fish and chips thing and everything.
Different day.
Holy guacamole! It was delicious. So we had like fresh avocados, the cilantro from the garden.
Yeah, it was tasty.
It was awesome.
Fresh garlic, fresh
I'm
onion, all that
spoiled.
stuff. Yeah. But no, so like Epcot can be fun, and you know there's a spectacle too, and it can be a lot of fun, and why not?
Bye,
right?
Malcolm. By the way, if we missed you,
Malcolm,
sorry.
have a good one.
But thanks so
Thanks
much
so
for
much for
joining.
joining
Enjoy the
us.
rest of your
We really,
Friday.
really appreciate it.
Still Thursday here. Really fun to have somebody from New Zealand on. It's really, really cool to have them join.
Yeah. But yeah, no, Epcot can be fun. So, I mean, I didn't like it so much as a kid because, you know, to me, Epcot as a kid was kind of boring. But, you know, I think, you know, as I got older, the only thing I remember from Epcot really enjoying as a kid when we went was, like, the Mexican restaurant because it was, like, this whole thing.
But there's supposed to be, like, a drinking around the world thing. Did you do that when you went with your fraternity brothers to Orlando?
No. We were busy riding roller coasters. We had friends who were working at Disney at the time, so we got to skip the lines and just like ride roller coasters nonstop. It was like every kid's favorite dream.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
I wasn't there.
Nope. So Thomas Reiser is saying that to him, Kent is very easy to drive since everyone is defensive to the tunnel.
Channel. Yeah. So the channel is the tunnel that goes under the English Channel from England to France.
Yep. So Eric B is saying that he hears that the fee is pretty high in Europe to upgrade to automatic. Yeah, automatic transmission is pretty expensive in Europe. You're going to end up spending significantly more for that than for
Book in advance, you'll get a better deal.
But regardless, it's going to be more expensive than if you
True.
know how to do stick, which is why we were like, oh, like we should learn how to drive stick so that when we go to Europe or even South America, you're not as handicapped.
Yeah.
So
when we went to South America, and this could happen in Europe too, but it just happened to happen to us in South America. Most of the people there drive stick shift as well. We forgot in one particular city to reserve a rental car, and it's like it's in Bariloche in Argentina. It's a very important city, like to get a rental car. They just don't have a lot of Ubers. It's not a very big place, and so. We arrive, our flight lands, and we're like, okay, we need to figure out what's available. I'm pretty sure, got the absolute last automatic car in Bariloche. And it was way bigger
and we
than
barely
we needed.
got it.
Yeah, we barely got it. It was way bigger than we needed. It was like a giant minivan. And I think we spent like $600 on a 3-day rental. It was
That was my bad.
insane. And that's not normal. Like, it's because we did it last minute. It's because of the very last car, and we were desperate. But like, it's more of the fact that you need to reserve in advance. You're going to get great deals, and it's not going to be like a supply and demand issue.
So Nick Barnett is saying that he almost got hit by a double-decker bus in London because he looked the wrong way out of habit before crossing the street.
Yeah.
Like within a millimeter.
Oh my god.
That's bad. That sucked. I almost got injured in Spain when I was studying abroad trying to retrieve a frisbee in the street. And I always still think back to that. Like that was me being an idiot, and not that you were being an idiot, Nick. But just like thinking back to like those times where you have like those close calls, and it's like those are things that like stick with you. I think for quite a while, and I think that'll probably always stick with me. It was like, oh, like I could have been like seriously injured because I ran to grab a frisbee that I should not have. And honestly, we should not have been playing frisbee. We were playing frisbee, so that's the other thing.
Were you playing it in the street?
Very close to a street.
Street adjacent.
Street adjacent. So Eric B is asking if they speak a good bit of English in India. I can say that yes, I believe they do, because English is actually a major language in India, and most of the young people will speak it.
Especially in like Dubai and
No, India.
I mean, sorry, in
Mumbai.
Mumbai and Delhi. I combined the two. Sorry. It created a city that already exists. But in places like Goa, for example, they might be more like leaning towards Portuguese as a second language versus.
I have no idea. I know that Goa used to be a Portuguese colony. There's a lot of last names that are Portuguese influenced, and there's a lot of Catholicism and stuff there. No idea about the language spoken though.
But I mean, Rishi doesn't. Rishi speaks English and gets by just fine.
He also speaks Hindi.
He does?
Yeah.
I've never heard him speak Hindi.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm gonna have to hear that.
No, he spent the first 8 years of his life in India and everything like this.
Oh man.
Yeah. Okay, so Mo is saying you had to check out Isle of Man.
Yeah, we definitely do.
And they
Isle
have
of Man has incredible archaeological stuff to see.
They also have motorcycle races. And it's crazy how fast those racers go on those tight UK roads.
Yeah.
Mo, I feel like you're into some cool adrenaline sports. That's really cool.
Mo's a pretty cool guy.
He's got the hair for it, so it works.
He's just a cool guy generally. Hair or
Since my haircut, I don't know if I can pull it off. Lori is saying, my son loves Singapore airport and city, did the high life hotels on a few days, stopover on the way to Bali. Oh, that's really cool. I would totally go to Bali, though. Bali would be really cool.
Yeah, my best friend went to Bali and said it was amazing.
Yeah. So Nick Barnett is saying that he was going to, stop through Singapore this year because it was a perfect layover between Asia and Greece. Where I always spend part of the year. Flights were just $200 Singapore to Athens. That's crazy cheap.
So cheap.
That's so cheap. That's awesome.
Singapore to Athens?
That's really cool.
Wow. Did you have to sit in a middle seat in the middle of a plane or something? I'm just that's an incredible deal.
Nick is also saying that South Korea is also super easy to travel to. As a Westerner, so far that's the only East Asian country I've been to, but highly recommend. Yeah, so South Korea is supposed to be really cool. The airport's supposed to be really neat. I've heard really cool things about the little robot that'll take you around and show you to a gate and stuff.
So I've never been, but I can speak to it how it was in March. My best friend flew through. I think it's called Icheon Airport. Yeah, in Seoul. And she said back in March she was super surprised because she thought they were going to take her temperature and they didn't. I'm sure they're doing that now and everything like that. But she was like, I cannot believe, based on all of the testing and stuff that they're doing in South Korea, that they're not having those layover passengers get their temperature taken. But it sounds like South Korea is doing such a great job. It's just monitoring everything and monitoring people. I'm probably changed. I mean, it's been over 3 months. But it was just, super cool. Sounds like an incredible airport, very high tech, all that.
Nick D says, my B- in high school Japanese class proves that it's hard.
Yeah.
There we go. And Lori is saying that her dad still speaks Japanese from being in the Marines in the 50s and 60s.
Cool.
That's really cool.
I have family that actually lived in Japan for a long time. My grandmother's sister, I was very, very close with my grandmother. She and her husband and their kids, their kids were raised in Japan, and came back to the U.S. It's late teenagers and stuff like that. So basically, my dad's first cousins were all in Japan as they were growing up.
So Megan Morris says that she would love to see me drive a tuk-tuk in India. That's not going to happen, but that would be interesting to watch.
Is that a thing that tourists do?
No, I think you ride in tuk-tuks.
Yeah.
But you trying to drive one, why not?
I'm sure somebody would, if you were can I switch you? They'd be like, sure.
Maybe. Nick Barnett's, would it also not be due to losing the U.S. as colonies long before automobiles were invented? But it also came down to, I think that the reason why the automobiles drove on the side that they drove on was because of what the
horses,
what they did like on horseback, what was like the custom with that.
Yeah.
I think that that's where it comes from. And it all came from like what your sword arm was.
Yeah, there's
and stuff
something
like
about
that.
how our connection to Napoleon,
I
like
have no idea.
we took Evan help. No, I'll look it up later and we can talk about it in the next live stream.
Yeah, Nick, that's tough because you're supposed to do some really cool stuff with both Europe and Asia, so that'd be a tough thing to lose. Eric B saying that the Morocco restaurant in Epcot is legit the best he's ever had there, and that's really cool. We really want to go to Morocco.
I'm totally skipping over. So Megan's saying Korean Air Eagle Sky Team, use those benefits. Unfortunately, so my best friend can do that, but I cannot. With just the way that things work with my benefits, so
she doesn't get the partner benefits.
I can't. So the way the name of doing that, like if you fly on a partner airline, it's called being able to Zed, and I can't do that unless she's with me. So I guess I could do it if we're together. If I go to South Korea with her. But yeah, I can't do it alone, and usually I fly alone. Anyway, so I know that I just skipped over. So Thomas is saying my sister was trying to find a stick driving school and couldn't. So we were able to find one in the Chicago suburbs. I know that's a little bit far from you, not terribly far. But my dad gave me the name of one. So I'll try to shoot that over to you via like DM or something on Facebook or Instagram. And then Nick D says, I would totally lose The Amazing Race just because I don't drive stick shift. I've actually only watched The Amazing Race one time, but I wonder if, do you have to know how to do that in the other countries and stuff? And then Lori says, I learned to drive by stick when my brother taught me when I was 13. So what's funny is that, like, I feel both my parents know how to. It was kind of a thing during their generation, and like there was this time frame where all of a sudden all the cars shifted to automatics, and it was before I was born. And now, because we didn't have access to a stick shift car in the U.S., I didn't learn. And I think Derek was the same way. I'm pretty sure his parents know how to drive it, and just because there's like we just lack access to them. So that's that. Does your dad know how to drive stick shift? I'm pretty sure he does, right? Yeah, he does. So does mine. But they can't teach us because none of us have stick shift cars. Then, okay, so we were talking about, Mo is saying he's learning how to ride a motorbike. Would like to get a Triumph T120 bike for road trips, but that's going to be a few years. That's such a cool thing.
That's cool.
I know that a lot of people sell motorbikes secondhand too, so I don't know if maybe I'll be able to find one like somebody's selling someday.
Yeah, and everybody's talking about, like, looking left, right. Eric B is talking about, like, the reason why they put the thing on the street so you know where to look and everything. And Richie and Vanessa are saying that's why I look both ways no matter where I am. And I think that's actually kind of important because even on, like, one-way streets, like, the number of times, like, even in Chicago, I've seen people, like, go the wrong way down the street.
Yeah.
You're like, God, if I had only looked the wrong way, I would have gotten hit, So, like, I think it's always kind of important. You look both ways. Kind of do the whole thing, like look the way they should be coming, look the other way, then check the other one again, and then cross. Like, that's important. So
yeah, I'm gonna jump again. So Thomas is saying he doesn't use Instagram really. We switched a little bit over from Facebook to Instagram in recent years. Definitely we're the Facebook generation with college and everything, but then we're a lot more prone to Instagram right now. Who knows? It could change, but that's where I feel like I like to
read Nick D's.
I like to communicate with people. Definitely just on it more. And then I think Nick Barnett's has a really fun Instagram too. I know I follow him there.
Check out Nick D's comment though.
Nick D says, I also look up and down to avoid helicopters and submarines.
That's pretty funny.
That's great.
Nick D, you're a funny, funny man.
Yeah.
And Nick Barnett is saying that Scoot Airlines is one way between Singapore and Athens. Was super cheap, kind of shockingly so. But even though it's a budget airline, the price made it right. So that's pretty cool. So Lori Sims is saying there's new thermal texting at LAX for all people, which is pretty cool.
Come this way.
Oh, and Thomas Reiser is saying that Sweden used to drive on the left side, but they switched.
Hey, Evan, do you know anything about why we drive on the right side of the road? Isn't it having to do with Napoleon?
Maybe, I don't know.
Oh man, you gotta get there.
Wikipedia. No, I'm just kidding.
Nobody's gonna fact check me. We'll get there. Next week we'll fact check ourselves.
Megan Morris says, "LOL, tourists do not drive tuk-tuks. But Derek, if you wear your cool sailor hat, I'm betting someone will let you drive there,
Where did that
or
go?
at least give you a cool photo op."
And Derek will just be holding his cool foam GoPro while he's doing it.
Like that.
Where's
Yeah.
your Gilligan hat? Where did it
I
go?
don't know.
Somebody took it back.
You guys should really go in the Amazing Race. We would be so bad at that.
Yeah. Well, clearly you need to drive stick shift, so that's step one.
Yeah, so Mo was saying, I thought it was that Napoleon was left-handed and that the aristocrats drove on the left side and peasants on the right, so he changed it up. Really confusing. Yeah, I think there's something along those lines, Mo. Nick D, I'm all in for the Amazing Race, all travel vloggers edition. Us versus like Mark, Jocelyn.
Oh my gosh, there's
like,
this
all
one
those
show,
people,
we
that'd be
didn't
so
end
much
up
fun.
finishing it, but it was like all these British couples competing for an Alaskan homestead, and I feel like that would be that, where they don't really know what they're doing. That's how we would enter this. We're like, we don't really know what we're doing, but we're here for the adventure. That's like a Netflix show. I think it's called like Alaskan, I don't know, something or other.
Sorry, I just read Megan Morris's most recent thing,
I just saw
and
it
it's
too.
hilarious. Derek, no shade meant, but do you have a Fisher Price edition of your GoPro?
So Megan, you
No.
joined late. There was an explanation for that, but that's
She bought all of
the
this
Fisher
stuff.
Price one is going to live forever now.
It's like a hammer.
Yeah, this is also a hammer for a little plastic car. Just
So
kidding.
what this is actually, this is a casing for it to float in the water, and we were talking about like being on a lake and whatnot.
Yeah, so we're at Derek's,
We're at a lake right now.
parents' house, which is on a lake,
And
lake
so,
community.
So Eliz bought this whole like pack for like the GoPro with like a bunch of accessories, and in that was like this type of stuff, so we could like go like try to be the backflip people off of a boat.
No, we're not
We can't
backflips.
do
We're
it.
like,
We're gonna try,
Derek's dad did a cool dive off
Yeah, he
the
did a
boat,
cool
though.
dive.
He showed us that.
So this is so we can take the GoPro in the water and don't have to worry about it like falling and sinking. It does kind of look like, but again, it's one of those things where you
It
want it to be
does.
bright because
Yeah.
if you, for whatever reason, like if it floats off of you and you need to find the water, you want it to like stick out. So like
Yeah.
that's why it's bright colors.
Yeah. I also don't love the color orange, and that was like the only other option, so that's why it's green.
I also love Fisher Price. So
Yeah,
whatever.
sure. There you go. That's
Um,
super funny, Megan. You just made us laugh a lot.
Yeah, that's really good.
Nick says, I seriously came close to signing up for that with a longtime friend of mine who also loves to travel. So I think he was talking to Nick D, who says, "Oh, the Amazing Race, yeah, that'd
Travel
be
Vloggers
fun."
Edition. Yeah, Nick Barnett is saying, yeah, my Instagram is basically travel related and sometimes my cat. Very
I
cool.
feel like we wouldn't be the competitors. We'd be the ones that just like happen to show up on one episode at like a vineyard, and we're like sipping wine, being like, "Okay, here's your challenge today."
I'd do that. Yeah, sure. Take me to a vineyard. Sign me up, man.
Our survival skills are like nil. Nick D says, basically because we wanted to differentiate ourselves from English after the Revolutionary War, so we changed the side of the road. I kind of feel like you're not lying. I feel like that's part of this backstory. I definitely learned this at some point, and I don't remember what the whole thing is. But yeah, it was like we all of a sudden decided that we wanted to be more like mainland Europe versus the UK.
Continental.
Yeah.
Nick Barnett is saying we could be the clue dispensers at the Stonehenge part of the race or the Chicago part of the race.
Yeah.
Whichever. No, I do both. I'd show up at both locations and really screw with people. Like,
Alert
weren't
the
you
media,
in Chicago?
we are willing and able.
Ready, willing, and able. Yeah.
To be part of the next season.
So, it's getting a little late.
It's getting late. It's been so much fun to hang out with everybody, though, as always.
We're relatively caught up. I think we've hit everything. We had a lot of stuff that we talked about lakes and, like, what to bring. You know, if you're going to a lake, bring water, bring a boat, bring some sand. You got a lake.
Bring sunscreen.
I'm just kidding. But yeah, you know, it's all about having fun, and you know, we really appreciate being here with all of y'all.
Yeah. We are going to have another live stream next Thursday. I know it's July 2nd, so it's kind of everybody's like getting to be holiday weekend. So we really hope you guys can all still join. We're going to be like, what was crazy was when we did our live stream on Easter Sunday, there were so many great people that joined. And I know everyone was still in quarantine then and everything like that, but it was super fun to just talk to everybody on that day. So hopefully, since it's like 2 days before the actual holiday, we can all still hang out together next week. We should be back in Chicago then, and can talk a little bit more about the rest of our experience here, and hear about what you guys are doing for the 4th of July. We would love to. So it's been amazing just to catch up with everybody. We're gonna maybe even have some updates by next week about like hopefully. Sorry, that was kind of like foreshadowing, but we're not ready to share just yet. A little bit about what's happening, but we will have some updates at least in the weeks to come for you guys. And we love having just all of this time to hang out. Yeah. Catch you on Facebook and Instagram and all of the thingies below. And if you haven't subscribed, please do, because that helps the channel. And if you haven't liked this video, please do, because it helps the channel. Yeah, please give it a like. We appreciate it. I know a lot of you guys already have.
And so. Megan, if I do get sunburned, hopefully I'll be healed by the next video.
And thanks to Megan and thanks to Malcolm Hogan for all of your amazing work with the troll stuff.
Mo, thank you for staying so long. Oh my goodness, it's so late. Oh my gosh,
Mo, happy freaking birthday.
Happy Seriously, belated birthday. We really appreciate you.
We love that you are joining all the way from Northern Ireland. I feel like you and Derek are kindred spirits for starters. Like everything that you say that you like, Derek's like, that's so cool.
I'm like, hey, I used to have longer hair and I liked archery, so that's all cool.
Yeah, and Megan, really, really fun to have you on. Nick D, Nick Barnett, Nick Peterson, Lori Sims, Thomas Reiser, Katie Smith.
Wait, who's Richard pregnant? Lori Sims, she is pregnant. Who's pregnant?
Who's pregnant?
I'm confused.
I don't know. There are many quarantine babies happening in the world, that's for sure.
Those are definitely happening. We've had multiple friends that have that happening. So
she's saying that we have news coming. No.
No,
I'm drinking.
She's drinking wine.
A lot of wine.
She's not pregnant. Let's not start that. If that's what you mean, no.
I just figured out what she was saying, and that's not it. So there's that. It's more about like our summer travels and everything like that. So yeah.
We freak out a lot of people sometimes. We're like, oh, we've got news, and they're like, ah! We're like, no, not that, no. We're like gonna go on a trip.
No, we're not. We don't have a quarantine baby.
But we love the support.
But we love supporting everybody who does.
Yes. So. Thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate it. We are,
thanks for sticking with us with the audio stuff and just giving us that live feedback. It was really, really fun. Next week, hopefully we'll be back in our regular studio. Like the window and everything. But it's been great hanging out with everybody, and hope you all have.
Nick D, Derek is pregnant. There's not a junior moment. I'm not Schwarzenegger, but Love you guys. We really appreciate you all, and we hope you have a great evening.
Yeah. Have a good night.
Cheers.
Bye.